they love him in London, in Paris, in Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada, and Mexico. They say, I believe in the monster. I believe in the monster.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that. Boy, you know, this has been a very eventful evening as I am preparing to come on the air here and talk about this Bad Blood show. I look on my Twitter timeline, and what do I see but video of a heel turn that took place off the air tonight, which I'm going to talk about that in a second. But here I am getting ready to talk about this show and a very big event that occurred at the very end of the show, and then I turn and I see that something else happened. Why it happened off camera and not on the show is a whole other question. But Kevin Owens attacks Cody Rhodes out in the parking lot right outside of Cody's bus during the press conference. While the press conference is going on the inside, Kevin Owens lays a beat down on Cody Rhodes, and then I think he drove off. And that's all I saw here before I came on with all of you. So, wow, there's a lot going on right now. What I was going to say is that it was 27 years ago tonight, October 5th, 1997, that WWE debuted an event called Bad Blood in your house. And for the very first time, they had a little main event called Hell in a Cell, which was Shawn Michaels against The Undertaker, still to this day, one of the greatest matches in WWE history, and the greatest Hell in a Cell match out of all the Hell in a Cell matches, all 50 plus, that they have done since 1997. So WWE decided that in honor of the anniversary here, 27 years later, they were going to bring back Bad Blood with another Hell in a Cell match, which is what we had here tonight with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And he was on a podcast, Punk was, just last week. And CM Punk had this to say. He said, I want to bring the cell back to what it is supposed to be. I don't want to have a cell that needs a match. I want to have a match that needs the cell. And I feel like me and Drew have done that. Mission accomplished. These two men went out there tonight with a goal to have the best possible blow off to this year-long feud that they could possibly have. And they accomplished just that. And CM Punk has not had very many matches here since coming back to WWE. And he's had his injury past, and you worry about that, and what condition is he going to be in. But he goes out there tonight with Drew McIntyre, and they tore the house down and had it's not even contestable, the match of the night. They went out there, they did that stipulation proud. They did that whole match proud. You know, Punk wanted to bring back Hell in a Cell to what it used to be. Because for so long, Hell in a Cell, it was literally a pay-per-view. They named a pay-per-view after it. And it just became the thing to do every single year, whether or not there was a feud worthy of actually having a Hell in a Cell match. Oh, it's Hell in a Cell time. Got to do Hell in a Cell. Well, we don't really have a match that really needs it, but we got to do Hell in a Cell. And they killed it. For the longest time, Hell in a Cell was dead. Wasn't what it used to be. Tonight, this felt more like Hell in a Cell than Hell in a Cell has felt in many, many years. And that's a credit to both those guys who went out there and they bled. They beat the living shit out of each other. And we got a proper blow-off to what really has been the feud of the year in WWE. All the social media sniping, all the promos, the war of words back and forth, the battles that these men have had. And it all culminated in a match tonight that I thought delivered on every level. And that was easily the best thing on the entire show. And yet, that match did not close the show tonight. They actually opened with Hell in a Cell. They did not close with Hell in a Cell. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. If you remember, in 2011, CM Punk sat on that stage and he whined and complained about how sick to his stomach he was that Dwayne was getting the main event of WrestleMania the following year and not him. Makes me sick that Dwayne is getting the WrestleMania main event. Here we are now in 2024, and yet again, CM Punk is cheated out of his main event because of Dwayne. Because indeed, the big surprise came at the very end of the show, and it was the return of the final boss, The Rock, for the first time since the night after WrestleMania. Made his return. He walked out on stage. He had his People's Championship belt over his shoulder. It's almost like he just carried that thing around with him for the last 6 months and didn't let it out of his sight. And he walked out. He didn't have anything to say, but he may have said more with a simple throat slash than he could have said in any promo he could have cut. And then he turned around and he walked off to the back. And that was quite the cliffhanger that they left us with. And very interesting timing here as we head into Survivor Series next month and War Games. And a lot of talk and a lot of discussion about what the War Games match may look like, whether or not it's going to involve the Bloodline. Is it going to be a Bloodline Civil War? I'm not even sure they have enough people to make a Bloodline Civil War work. But we still have another 7 weeks or maybe 8 weeks, whatever it is. 6 or 7 weeks until we get to Survivor Series. So a lot can happen in that time. But the timing is very interesting. And then, as I said, as I came on the air here, I see that Cody Rhodes out in the parking lot is attacked by Kevin Owens. Now, we can call it a heel turn. We don't know. It could just be, we don't know the nature of the disagreement that they were having. There's video of them talking, and then all of a sudden Kevin Owens just starts beating the shit out of him. And obviously we'll find out on TV this upcoming week what the nature of that disagreement was. So it may be a case where Kevin Owens just lost his cool and he shows up on SmackDown and he apologizes to Cody. Or maybe this was a full-fledged heel turn. I don't know. It's very odd that we've been getting teases now for weeks and weeks and weeks on TV. And then they go and shoot the angle off camera like this. But then again, everybody is talking about it. Everybody's going to be talking about it leading into SmackDown on Friday. And maybe that was the point, to generate a lot of buzz and a lot of attention. But a very odd choice to do something like that and not do it in front of the SmackDown audience, where this story has been playing out on TV now for the last couple of months. Everything in between the two matches that I mentioned, Hell in a Cell and that tag team main event with Roman and Cody teaming for the first time, everything in the middle of the show, very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. This was the very definition of a two-match show. That's it. That Bad Blood was about the opener and the closer. That's it. Everything else in between was very forgettable and could have easily taken place on TV and not on a PLE. They were also hyping a historic announcement by Triple H. Yeah, it's a tough thing anytime you use a word like that, man. You hype something up, you throw that word around. This is going to be groundbreaking. This is going to be game-changing. This is going to be historic. You better deliver with something big. They didn't. It is historic in that it's not been done before, but was it worthy of all the hype that's been going around the last few hours? No. But Triple H did make an announcement concerning Crown Jewel. And I'm going to be talking about what that announcement was because it has implications for both Raw and SmackDown. And as part of this segment, not only did we get a cameo by Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, who did not have a match on this show, but we had a cameo appearance by Bill Goldberg. The same Bill Goldberg that Gunther only a few weeks ago when he was in the ring with Bret Hart said was his favorite wrestler of all time. Yeah, that Bill... What is this guy, like fucking Beetlejuice? You say his name enough times and he appears? Is he fucking Joe Hendry? There he is, sitting in the front row tonight with his son Gage and his wife. They're in Atlanta. They're in his backyard. He's hopping the barricade. He's trying to get at Gunther, and I'm thinking, oh my God. No. Don't even think about it. Yeah, there was a lot going on this show tonight. We got a lot to get into here. This is your Bad Blood 2024 review. I'm the Solomonster. Like.
I am the Lord.
That I don't like. Shut the fuck up. Him I don't like. Fuck that tree. Oh my goodness, David Thiering, thank you for the 12. Man, there were some bombs that came in before I went live. I think it was David and Fire Panda dropping some big super chats on me. And a lot of people, first of all, let me just say, a lot of people in the chat, you see in the artwork there, I got the little birthday hat on myself. And yes, my birthday is tomorrow, so I'm celebrating with all of you this weekend. I'm consumed with work. We're doing this stream tonight. I got a podcast coming to you guys tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about on episode 882 of The Sound Off on Sunday. So I'm spending my weekend working and hanging out with you guys, but thank you for all the birthday wishes. I do appreciate it. It means a lot. And thank you for the big bombs. I know we got a bunch more that are going to be coming in. I'll be pausing and unpausing them as we go along here. Otherwise, I'll never get anything done. So the super chats are open. I will be reading and acknowledging every single one of them. Subscribe if you are new here. Also, like the video. Hit that like button. It only takes 2 seconds. It doesn't cost you a thing. And we will, again, be reading these a little bit later on here in the stream. There's Armed Anderson. Hands up, everybody. Arn Anderson was on the show tonight, along with Tully Blanchard. The Horsemen were in the building at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. A lot of history in Atlanta with those guys.
I love you, Solo. You are my tribal chief.
And that man was in the main event, Jacob Fatu. He has made his way into the main event in record time here in this company. Paul Levesque was shown walking backstage at the beginning of the show. Michael Cole said that Levesque had promised a historic announcement tonight. So that was our first mention of the historic announcement here on the main card. They were talking about it on the pre-show as well. Then they introduced Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi as the hosts for Bad Blood. They said it would be a historic night. There's that word again. There's that word again. Boy, this company knows how to beat something to death, don't they? They said it would be a historic night and then said that it was time for Hell in a Cell. This was completely pointless. But hey, you know, I'm happy for all three of these ladies. They get to come to work. They don't have to take any bumps. They don't have to abuse their body. That's a good night at the office. So good for them. They stood there. They smiled. They looked pretty. They didn't have a whole lot to say, but they got paid and they didn't have to take bumps. So that's a good thing. But as I said, they did open the show with the Hell in a Cell match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. We were 15 minutes, by the way, into this show before the first match even began. They used the traditional Hell in a Cell cage, the one that we saw on TV on Monday night. I know some people were a little bit worried because in one of the promo videos, they showed the red cell. Remember the red cage that we had a few years ago, that monstrosity, that fucking eyesore? And they thought, oh no, are they going to paint the cell red between Monday and today? No, it is the same silver, more like gray, but silver cell The red cell is a relic of the past. It just doesn't look good on TV. I don't know why they ever thought it was a good idea to begin with. But then again, that was the old regime. I don't know what was going through their head half the fucking time with some of the decisions that they would make. Thankfully, that's in the past. You know what feels wrong, though? Because I'm pretty sure this was the first one we had like this. Having a Hell in a Cell match with the Prime logo right in the middle of the ring. I don't know. There's something wrong about that. I know these UFC shows. There's one tonight, actually. There's a UFC pay-per-view. That's why the show went on early tonight. I know UFC shows, they have these cage fights. You got fucking ads all over the place, but I don't know. Having the Prime logo in the middle of the ring in a Hell in a Cell match was... But you know what? I guess, is that really any worse than having the pink ropes? Because October Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so they used to have Hell in a Cell, the pay-per-view every year, and you would have pink ropes inside Hell in a Cell, and I always thought that was a little strange, too.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all
goodness.
this money on me. Hey,
it's Boots.
I just want you to know, I think you rock.
It's Boots.
I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Boots to asses with a $100 super chat from Boots. My boy Boots is joining the party tonight. Hey, Boots, thank you very much. I appreciate that, my friend. McIntyre sent Punk into the cage, and the crowd chanted for tables. We were only 2 minutes into this match. Punk grabbed the table and a chair. McIntyre, though, used the chair on Punk. So McIntyre used his boot to smash Punk's face into the steel steps. Then he grabbed a wrench out of a toolbox. And McIntyre went to go use it. Puck ducked. Punk ducked. Not Puck. CM Puck. He would like that, actually, because he's a big NHL guy. But CM Punk, he ducked the wrench, and then he stabbed at McIntyre's head with it like he was Abdullah the Butcher with the fork. McIntyre ripped one of the legs off of the table a little while later. He tried to use it as a weapon. Punk, though, ducked it and choked McIntyre with it. He tried stabbing McIntyre in the head with the table leg, but McIntyre escaped. Punk went after him outside. McIntyre, though, dropped him with a Claymore kick on the floor. So McIntyre then lawn darted Punk into the side of the cage. And when Punk came up, he was bleeding. Remember, coming into this match, CM Punk said, I'm going to make you bleed. Drew McIntyre said, I'm going to make you bleed. That was the promise that they both made coming into this match. So we were only a few minutes here into this Hell in a Cell match, and already we had blood. The name of the show is Bad Blood. There's blood in the logo. Right? Look, it's right there. Bad Blood. How are you going to have a show called Bad Blood and a Hell in a Cell match and not have blood? You have to. If ever there was a time to have blood, I'm not a fan of doing blood all the time. But if ever there was a time that warranted it, this is it. And so here's CM Punk. He's bleeding, and it was enough that you could see there was like a little small pool of blood on the floor outside. He's got it dripping down his head. It's dripping down his chest. McIntyre smashed the steps into his head and then stomped his head onto the top part of the ring steps. So then McIntyre's yelling at Punk. He says that I'm going to end your career. Your wife is going to leave you. No AJ cameo tonight. They're keeping AJ out of this. Punk has said that AJ doesn't even watch the shows. Like, she really doesn't even know what's going on. So anybody thinking that we might get an AJ cameo, like, I thought there was a chance. Like, earlier in the feud, I thought maybe when they get to the final match, just the stuff with the bracelet and Larry the dog and the wife's name, AJ's name being on there. I thought maybe she would be in the crowd. Maybe she would slap McIntyre in the face or something. Then they announced it was going to be Hell in a Cell, and I said, okay, well, I guess she's not going to be there. But yeah, anybody wondering about AJ, she's just doing her own thing and not even paying attention to what's going on here, at least according to Punk. So he's yelling at Punk. He starts stabbing him in the bloody wound with the wrench. In the ring, McIntyre set up for another Claymore kick, but Punk slipped out of the ring. And McIntyre reached out through the ropes to try to grab him to bring him back inside. But Punk, who now had possession of the toolbox from earlier, he reached up and he smashed the toolbox back up into McIntyre's head. It made a great sound, too, when he did it. They kept the camera off McIntyre, I presume the reason being that he was blading, and sure enough, a few seconds later, they cut back to McIntyre, and he is pouring blood. Worse than Punk before. I mean, it is squirting out of his head, dripping out of his head. And it was jarring, because in almost any other wrestling company, I've seen it on independent shows, right? You see blood all the time. And, you watch like AEW, and we kind of make fun of Jon Moxley, where there was a period of time where Moxley just couldn't have a match without bleeding. Now, I can't remember the last time we saw Moxley bleed in a match. Funny enough, it's been a while. But you would see him, and he'd be wearing the crimson, and you just kind of get used to it. To see this on a WWE show was kind of jarring, because it just made me realize that I couldn't remember the last time that we had blood to this degree on a WWE show. People have bled on these shows. It's incidental blood, hard way. It's a small cut. It's not like we've never seen blood in the last 5 years, but not like this. That's, you look at this and you're like, okay, we're in a different era now in this company where, it's okay when the situation calls for it to go ahead and get some color, and this was definitely a match that called for it. So he was wearing the crimson mask. Punk hit a bulldog and a go to sleep, but McIntyre fell out of the ring before he could make a cover. Punk got McIntyre back in the ring, but McIntyre nailed him with a Claymore kick when he got back inside. Got a near fall out of it. McIntyre then missed the Claymore. Punk put him in a sharpshooter. The setup was not pretty, and he fell down while he was putting it on, which, whatever, right? The blood loss. So it might not have been the prettiest setup, but he did get it applied, and not for nothing, he sat back on it, and he locked that sharpshooter in pretty deep. And what they were going for clearly here was the Steve Austin WrestleMania 13 spot, where he's trapped in the sharpshooter, Austin's looking up, he's screaming, blood pouring down his face. That's what they did here with Drew McIntyre. McIntyre's got the blood, pouring down his face, screaming in agonizing pain, trying to fight his way out of the hold. He reaches over and he picks up the wrench that's laying on the mat, and he starts whacking Punk in the back with it until he finally breaks the hold. As they went on here in this match, a lot of the blood got wiped away by their sweat. So actually, as the match progressed, the blood was less and less. But anybody looking at photos of the match thinking, wait, that doesn't look like a lot of blood, it lessened as the match went on here. And also, there was a moment where Sean Bennett, the referee, he grabbed a towel from the outside. Somebody fed a towel to him, and you could see he went and wiped some of the blood off of McIntyre's head, and McIntyre got pissed and was like, get the fuck away from me. Because I mean, think about it. Like, if you're in the middle of this match, you're trying to tell a story, and you tell a story through these different things, the blood in this case, and then that shot of these guys laying there, and the referee comes over and he wipes most of it away. I'd be pissed too. It's like, motherfucker, I cut myself open for this match. What are you wiping it away for? So yeah, he didn't seem very happy about that. But the big spot was McIntyre. He gave Punk a vertical suplex off the apron, threw him off, and Punk went crashing through a table that had been set up earlier on the floor. Crowd popped big for that. McIntyre grabbed the bottom part, I think it was, the bottom part of the ring steps, placed it in the ring, and before McIntyre could use the steps, Punk picked him up and nailed him with a GTS for a near fall. So McIntyre came back. He gave Punk a white noise on the steps for a 2 count. Punk then caught McIntyre in an anaconda vice. McIntyre wanted to use the wrench. Punk, though, grabbed it away from him and hit him with it instead. And McIntyre, who was really bleeding from the top part of his head, is on his knees, and he's pleading with CM Punk. And Punk, as he said, if you recall, in his promo on Monday night, wanted McIntyre to beg. McIntyre, though, just tricked him. He lulled him into a false sense of security here, and he delivered a low blow instead. McIntyre then grabbed a black pouch, presumably with thumbtacks in it, because usually when you see the sack, when the sack comes out, it's got thumbtacks inside. Only this time there were no thumbtacks. I mean, look, we just got blood back, okay? Let's not get too greedy here. Let's not get too greedy here with WWE. You're not going to get blood and thumbtacks back in the same night. But he empties the contents onto Punk, and it's not thumbtacks, but it is dozens and dozens and dozens of beads. Very similar to the ones that were on the bracelet that was such a central part of this feud for so long, CM Punk's friendship bracelet that he was given by a fan that he destroyed. He didn't destroy the real bracelet, but, you know, in storyline, he destroyed the bracelet. And so now it's just like hundreds, maybe, of these beads now are all over the place in the ring. McIntyre went for a Claymore kick. Punk ducked, and McIntyre went flying. He landed ass first right up against the edge of the ring steps. It may have been more his lower back, but it doesn't matter. I mean, whether it was his ass, whether it was his lower back, it looked like it absolutely sucked to take that move. Punk wrapped a chain around his knee, and he shoved the head. And I was getting flashbacks here to the NXT match. Was it the street fight with Wesley? And it was from the NXT show last week, where we had the chain, I believe, that was wrapped. Am I thinking of the right match here? Or am I thinking of a different match? I'm almost positive it was from that match. But anyway, it made me think of that. And he wraps the chain around his knee. He shoved a handful of beads into McIntyre's mouth, just like McIntyre had shoved the beads previously into Punk's mouth when he destroyed the bracelet. And he hit a chain-assisted GTS to win the match and finally put an exclamation point once and for all on this feud. Punk, when he leaves, a symbolic slamming shut of the cage door behind him. In the aisleway, he collapses down to the floor. Medics rush out. They put an oxygen mask on him, and they're treating him in the aisleway. Eventually, Punk removes the mask. He gets up. He walks very gingerly on his own. He poses on the stage, and that is how things ended. That is how you blow off a blood feud like the one that these two men have had now, a year-long feud. What they did here is how you blow it off. This match here is what Hell in a Cell was created for 27 years ago, to take two men who absolutely hate each other's guts and want to maim one another. You stick them in a cell like a couple of caged animals, and you let them go at it. Now, you could do that in a regular cage match, but again, Hell in a Cell, it's a different kind of beast. You got room to maneuver around outside the ring, and you can bring all kinds of weapons and plunder inside. That's the big difference between the two matches. That and the cage is much taller. So you're not climbing out. You're not climbing out. You're trapped inside like a couple of animals. That's the whole point. And I thought that they made great use of the stipulation. Again, Punk said coming into this match, he wanted to restore Hell in a Cell to its past glory. He wanted this match to become something very similar to what it used to be, but what it had gotten away from being. Restoration complete. Consider it restored. I thought they did a fantastic job. This was an excellent match. And guess what? They didn't have to leave the cell. Even like Shawn and Undertaker did in the first one. They didn't even have to do that. They didn't have to take some wild bump, off the top of the cage. So they were able to make use of everything from within the confines of the cell itself. Even the beads, the part with the beads, I liked it just because it played into the bracelet. I know some people thought it was goofy. They overused the bracelet, but it played into the bracelet being such a central part of the story. It made a lot of sense for them to do what they did there. And you could hear the crowd reacted to it when he poured all the beads, on top of Punk. So the symbolism there I thought was important. But again, both men promised to make the other bleed, and they delivered on that promise. You knew coming in this was going to be a more violent match than your typical WWE garbage Extreme Rules match. We had a dumpster match on SmackDown, the kendo stick. Like, you're used to seeing that every fucking time. This felt different. This was like a throwback in many ways to the cell matches and hardcore matches of old in WWE, and it was nice. It was refreshing because we don't get to see it all the time. And again, that's the key. When was the last time we had double juice in a WWE match? I don't want to see blood all the time. You don't need it all the time, but there are certain situations in matches like this one where it is appropriate, and it really adds a lot, and it can be very effective. It becomes ineffective when you do it all the time, but also when you don't do it at all, I do think that you're missing out. You know, I mean, it was done for years in wrestling, and I know it's not everybody likes the idea of blading and all that. I understand that. But I think when you have two guys, two pros in Punk and McIntyre, and it's not like they haven't done it before. I mean, I can see, honestly, this new generation of talent coming up from NXT not even knowing from blading. Like, they're not being taught that. You know, you're going to have a generation of guys and girls who probably aren't going to be doing that. And maybe that's for the better. But these two guys have been there, you know, been there, done that. They've been around the block a few times. And it's okay to have a little throwback and take it back to what he used to be. So this was great. Can't say enough good things about it. And maybe most importantly, everybody, the counter is now up to 3. The number of CM Punk matches without an injury, because I haven't heard. I mean, I guess we can't say for sure, but I think he made it out okay. The counter is now up to 3. And that's huge for CM Punk, who has been plagued by injuries now for the past couple of years. So good for you. We're up to 3. Let's hope we can improve that to 4 next time. Go get him. What's next for CM Punk? It may well be Gunther. It may well be the World Heavyweight Championship. There was talk about possibly them doing that match at Survivor Series, one-on-one, Punk and Gunther. Presuming that Gunther is in fact going to beat Sami Zayn on Monday, which I fully expect. I fully expect him to, or at least whatever the actual finish is. Sami Zayn's not going to win the World Heavyweight Championship on Monday. So it could very well be Punk and Gunther for the world title. We'll see. For McIntyre, I've made it very clear what I think should be done and what I would do. I think that this feud between these two got so heated and so personal and so just full of vitriol that it's a situation where these two men can't coexist together on the same brand at the same time. Drew McIntyre, I think, needs to leave, and I think he needs to be on SmackDown. And you could do that by facilitating a trade. I've floated Drew McIntyre to SmackDown, AJ Styles to Raw. It looks like they're doing a different story now, an injury angle that's going to lead into some kind of a story possibly where AJ is questioning whether or not he can continue, and maybe this is his final run. He's going to retire soon. I don't know where that story is going to go. So they may not do that. But I do think that because there is a need for more heels on the SmackDown side, I think it would be best for McIntyre to end up on Friday nights. I don't know if that's what WWE is going to do, but that is the move that I would make.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Boots again. Boots with a $100 super chat bomb.
With a tear in my eye.
And the Juliet with a tear in his eye. In the 1992 super chat. I'm feeling the love here. I'm feeling the love for my birthday. Thank you guys very, very much. Boots, thank you. I appreciate it very much. That's right. Base Beer says boots to asses. That's right. Yeah, by the way, on the AJ thing, for those of you still wondering if it was a work or not, it was an angle last night, the whole ankle injury thing. Again, where it's going to go, we don't know yet. But hopefully AJ is not truly going to wind it down yet. I think AJ, he's still got that. He's still got enough gas left in the tank. You know, he did the fake retirement angle a few months ago. it would suck if he turned around and had a real retirement. I still think he's got a few years left. He may not feel that way. I don't know how his body is feeling. Look at the career he's had. Look at the style he wrestled for so long. Maybe his body can't take it anymore. Maybe 2025 will be his last year.
It's Samoa BRO.
Maybe John Cena and AJ Styles will have their last year in 2025. We got to get one more match between them, by the way. We got to get one more Cena-AJ match. They had that great feud. I feel like we need to see it one more time. So we had the night of legends and celebrities in the crowd tonight. They had all kinds of luminaries in the audience for Bad Blood. Miss Jacqueline was there, former women's champion. Lillian Garcia and Booker T, they were shown sitting together in the crowd. Kathy Kelly was up in one of the suites to interview Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi. And there was a party going on. They had current wrestlers like Jey Uso, and of course the ones I just mentioned. They were there. They had legends. DDP was there. Mickie James was there. Naomi gave Jay a shout out and wished Bayley luck in her match against Nia Jax. Bianca very sarcastically wished Bayley luck and gave almost like a mocking thumbs up. I like the fact that Bianca still does not like Bayley, even though Bayley's been a babyface for a while. Damage Control made this woman's life a living hell for months on end. And I like that. I like the fact that even though she's a babyface now, that doesn't make it all go away. Bianca still does not like this woman. Well, look, I felt bad for these two because they had an impossible task, which was following what we just saw inside Hell in a Cell. And also, it's not like, let's be honest here, this next match, it's not like this match had a whole lot of heat coming into it. If you were to look, there's not a lot of matches on this card, another 5-match card here. But if you look at the 5 matches on paper coming into the show, this was the weakest, okay, as far as story and even the match itself. You knew this was going to be the weakest thing on the entire card coming into tonight. It was Bayley challenging Nia Jax for the WWE Women's Championship. Nia dominated for a little while. She set up for her Annihilator finish. Bayley slipped underneath her, and she set up for a powerbomb. So she's holding Nia for a few seconds. She's doing her damnedest. She's trying to hold on. You know, Nia is considerably bigger than Bayley is, but she's got her up, and the spot was,
I love you, Solo. You are my tribal chief.
Thank you, Corey. That was not the spot, but thank you. The spot was that Nia was going to turn it into a Hurricane Rana and was going to take Bayley over with the Rana. It looked to me like Bayley just couldn't hold her anymore. And Nia was already falling backwards, and so she tried to kind of turn her body in a way to complete the Rana that they had planned on doing. And Bayley went over and sold for it anyway, and the whole thing just looked very, very awkward. Like, it may have sounded good when they came up with the idea, but in execution, it just did not work. Bayley hit a sunset flip powerbomb into the corner and then a diving elbow drop for a 2 count. Nia charged at Bayley outside the ring, but she moved and Nia crashed into the steel steps. Nia came back, powerbombed Bayley on top of the steps, and then tossed her into the barricade. Nia followed with a Samoan drop for a 2 count. Bayley followed with a Samoan drop of her own for a near fall. And Nia, when she kicked out, she powered out of the pin and launched Bayley up into the air. And she kind of landed on her or hit the referee, Jessica Carr, but she was fine. Okay, so Jessica Carr, she's not hurt or anything. She's fine. But then Bayley hit Nia, and Nia fell right on top of Jessica Carr. And this time, the referee was not fine. The referee was squashed underneath Nia, and now she was down, and she was out of commission. So we had a ref bump. So Bayley followed with a stunner, and then hit a rose plant, but there's no referee. Referee is down. So then Tiffany Stratton's music hits to a big pop because people were waiting for this the entire time. It's almost like they didn't care all that much about the match itself, but they were just waiting for Tiffany because they were chanting Tiffy time, right? That's all you heard. Tiffy time, Tiffy time. Well, here comes Tiffany Stratton. She's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. By the way, go back and watch as she is running down to the ring. I swear to God, she almost tripped. I swear. It looked like she almost tripped. What a bad moment for her that would have been. Because she probably would have face planted. She may have fallen flat on her face and broken her nose. She was running so fast. But she sprints into the ring and she tries to wake up the referee, trying to wake up Jessica. Jessica gets up, looks up. Now, Tiffany has her head turned. She turned back to go look at Nia laying on the mat. Jessica takes the Money in the Bank briefcase. Even though Tiffany hasn't said that she's cashing in, she's assuming that Tiffany she must be cashing in, right? So now the referee has a hold of the briefcase. And at that moment, Nia does the Undertaker zombie sit-up. And she looks up, and what does she see? She sees Tiffany Stratton in the ring. She sees the Money in the Bank briefcase in her hand and also in the hands of the referee. And so, she puts two and two together, and she's like, wait a minute. What's going on here? So Nia confronts Tiffany, who tries to explain the situation. Bayley uses this distraction to roll up Nia for a very close near fall. Bayley goes to the top rope, and Tiffany chucks the briefcase at her. Bayley throws it back, but that momentary distraction allows Nia Jax to get back up, and she delivers a Samoan drop to Bayley off the middle rope. And then Nia follows with the Annihilator, and she pins Bayley to retain the Women's Championship. They were put in a very tough spot. I think that these two women did the best they could. It was not always pretty. There were definitely some rough moments in this match. But I didn't think it was boring or anything like that. The match that Bayley had with Nia, I guess it would have been at SummerSlam. I don't remember thinking that match was anything terribly exciting. I don't really think I like that. I won't say that this was boring. It wasn't boring. It just wasn't very good. I thought it was an average match with a finish that was done in a way that it protects Bayley in defeat because of the distraction, right? That's the only reason Bayley lost is because she took her eye off the ball. Tiffany was there, and then it led to her defeat. And also it led to yet another cash-in tease in a long list of them that we have had recently. From Tiffany Stratton without pulling the trigger. I thought that it should have happened tonight. I said that on my SmackDown recap last night that I was thinking it would happen. I was kind of hoping that it would happen tonight. And it did not happen. They're going to drag this thing out even longer. You know what it feels like to me? Especially seeing what they did tonight. It just makes me wonder if all they're doing is stalling. And they're stalling until the other queen is ready to come back, which honestly should be any month now. It could be this week on TV that we get Charlotte Flair back. We know it's coming very soon. And it feels to me like maybe they're stalling and they're waiting for Charlotte to make her return. And that she's going to factor into this in some way. The whole queen thing with Nia. And then maybe they'll do something with Tiffany. I hope so. If that's what they're waiting for, then I hope it does happen. I hope it happens this week. I hope she comes back. Because how many more months of these teases with Nia are we supposed to get before you have to make a move? Otherwise it just becomes very uninteresting. It's already kind of uninteresting, to be honest with you. But you knew that Bayley promising Naomi a shot at the championship when she won. That's putting the cart before the horse, and you don't do that. And you knew that Bayley was not going to win that title, and she didn't. And so poor Naomi now, after getting her hopes up that she was going to be next in line for a shot at the championship, she's not getting anything. Maybe she can host the Survivor Series. At least that'll get Naomi a role on the show. Maybe she can host again.
Look, everyone, it's Samoa BRO.
Hey, Samoa BRO is joining us here. Even Samoa BRO wants to know what's going on with Bad Blood tonight. That's why you're here. I'm going to let you know. Hey, Jake Jones, thank you. Good to see Jake with us tonight. Jake the Snake was not on this show, but there were some other legends. They had X-Pac, or Steve Austin would call him X-Pac. X-Pac was there.
With a tear in my eye.
With a tear in his eye. He was in the front row, as were Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. So we had a Horseman reunion, a little mini reunion here in Atlanta. They were introduced in the crowd before the next match. which was Damian Priest, one-on-one against Finn Bálor. There was a spot early on in the match where Priest caught Bálor with a right hand as he came off the top. And it was a wicked shot. And the announcers sold it huge. Bálor sold it great. And Priest sold it like he hurt his hand. Bálor took control. Priest, though, fought back with some strikes and a Falcon Arrow for 2. Priest used some kicks. Bálor, though, responded with a Pele kick. And Priest followed with a Razor's Edge for a 2 count. Just breaks my heart every time I see that move used for a 2 count. Of all the moves that were so protected for so many years, and now it's just another move. It just kills me. Bálor went to ringside. Priest followed. He charged, knocked Bálor over the announce desk with a shoulder. It wasn't even a shoulder check. I think he just sort of fucking shoved him over the announce desk. So Priest was standing on the floor after this, and he delivered a Razor's Edge onto the apron and just dumped Bálor on the ring apron. Back inside, Priest lowered the straps, which means the end is near. Carlito ran out, and with the referee distracted by him, JD McDonough attacked Damian Priest. Bálor hit Priest with a shotgun dropkick in the coup de grace. Priest, though, kicked out of the pin attempt that followed. Bálor ended up with a chair. Priest kicked the chair at Bálor's face and then took care of Carlito and McDonough. Bálor got a little bit of offense here before hitting the double stomp to Priest's back. And he followed that up with the move for a second time. He went for a third double stomp. Priest, though, caught him by the throat, hit the South of Heaven chokeslam, and got the 3 count. Ladies and gentlemen, Pin Bálor is back. I used to call Bray Wyatt the eater of pins when he would lose all the time. Pin Bálor reared his head again here on this show. This would have been a perfectly fine Monday Night Raw match. That's what this would have been. I think for a big PLE match like this, they've been building to... How long have they been building, right? This story, this match. Bálor and Priest is something that could have been a WrestleMania match if the timing, if the time of year was a little bit different. I don't think anybody would have looked at it and said, that's not a WrestleMania match. Because the story has been building and building and building for a very long time with these two. I expected more out of this. And what we ended up getting was really nothing special. I think the match was fine. It wasn't a bad match. But it also wasn't anything terribly special. And Priest wins. So I'm not really sure where they go from here. Because the babyface won. And he won fair in that he had to fight off a bunch of other people to get the job done. And then he just beat him. So, I mean, how does that make Finn Bálor look, right? I mean, had Bálor stolen the win with a little bit of assistance from the Judgment Day, it's like, all right, well, Damian Priest is going to be out for his revenge win, right? They're going to run this back again. They're probably going to run it back anyway. But when the babyface just wins in the first match, it's like, well, what's the point, right? He won. We saw him win. Now what? I don't know. Even with all the interference, though, Finn Bálor still couldn't get the job done. Hence, Pin Bálor. Triple H was out to the ring next to make his historic announcement that they were hyping all night. They wouldn't shut up about it. In the ring, they had a podium with the Crown Jewel logo on it. And clearly there was a championship belt, but it was hidden under a tarp, so we couldn't see it. He said it's hard to believe that it's been 30 years since he was living here in this city right up the road on Windy Hill. He also said that he was terrorizing WCW in this city back in the day. Ha ha ha. Sidro would be very happy with that joke. So then he turned his... Oh, and by the way, I have to mention this, of course. He was gloating about all the big business that WWE has been doing this year.
It's the amazing Gunther.
Gloated about Gunther making an appearance.
Loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Natasha with a $50 Gunther bomb.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. And then Chester has to just trample all over it. Fuck that tree. Chester had to trample right over that Gunther bomb.
With a tear in my eye.
Instant regret. I feel that way every time I look on social media. Instant regret. Hey, Natasha, thank you very much for the early birthday gift. I'm going to read the rest of your message here in a little bit. I appreciate that very much. I hear from Natasha sometimes on Twitter. So it's good to hear from you here tonight. But let me get into what I was saying here was Triple H was running down some of their business accomplishments. And sure enough, he mentioned the fact that tonight, according to him, is now the new highest grossing arena gate in WWE history. So basically every single month, according to WWE, they are topping the previous arena gate record. Because I think Bash in Berlin was the previous one. Now they've set another new record. Interestingly, I don't think they bother releasing the actual numbers anymore. So they tell us that it's a new record, but I don't know that they share the numbers with us. So we just have to take their word for it, I guess, that the gate record is in fact a new record. So I presume they're telling the truth and not exaggerating that. I mean, it is a publicly traded company after all. So then he said, we turn our attention now to Crown Jewel. This year at Crown Jewel, they will make history because it will be the beginning of a new era for WWE. An annual event that will take place with Crown Jewel where their reigning WWE champion will take on whomever the reigning World Heavyweight Champion is in a one-on-one match, and that is both the men and the women. So you're going to have two sets of champions on either side colliding at Crown Jewel. None of their titles will be on the line. However, the winners will be crowned the definitive Crown Jewel champions. And this is what the championship belt looks like, at least for the men. I don't know if the women's may have a white, backing. It might have a white strap. But this is the title that they unveiled here on the show tonight. And there it is. The Crown Jewel Championship. 50 carats in diamonds, they claimed. That will signify the winners as the best of the best. So basically, it is a trophy belt. Remember the green belt they gave to Braun Strowman when he won the greatest Royal Rumble and then it was never seen ever again? That's what this is. This is a trophy. This is like their Continental title in AEW, right? They have their once-a-year Continental title tournament. And instead of just making the tournament for a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, they just created a new title. So now they've created their own annual event, and that's what it looks like. So Gunther came to the ring, the World Heavyweight Champion, who did not have a match on the show tonight. And he asked Atlanta what Bad Blood would be without the World Heavyweight Champion. And he said that much the same way that Triple H handed him the King of the Ring trophy the last time they were in Saudi Arabia, he will be doing the same with the Crown Jewel title when he awards the championship to Gunther. Shout out to Leo Franco for becoming a Sound Off legend. That reminds me, hey, Fire Panda, how could I forget? Gifted dozens and dozens of channel memberships before I even went live tonight. So we have a whole bunch. Oh, I didn't. Starboy Bebop, until you just mentioned it. Son of a bitch. I didn't even put two and two together until you just mentioned it. He said, House of Glory punching the air. That's right. We have our Crown Jewel Championship. Sons of bitches. I got news for you. I wish I had a photo of it here. The Crown Jewel title in House of Glory is much better looking than the Crown Jewel title that I just showed you guys. I'm just saying. Our Crown Jewel champion is Zilla Fatu. Type in Zilla Fatu Crown Jewel champion. You'll see what the belt looks like. I think our belt is much better than their belt. But yeah, that's right. There was a Crown Jewel champion long before WWE ever thought of the idea. So fuck those guys. How did I not realize this? Gonna have to huddle with our attorneys. We're gonna have to talk about this. There may be a cease and desist in the future here. Anyway, so Gunther is very confident that he is going to be walking out of Crown Jewel with the championship. So then he turned his attention to the legends that were in attendance tonight. And he pointed out in the front row, there's Billy Boy, Bill Goldberg, in the front row with his son Gage, who is so much bigger than he was the first time that we saw him at Survivor Series in 2016. Yeah, it doesn't even feel like it was that long ago, right? That first match with Goldberg and Brock, well, not their first match, but the match with Goldberg and Brock, the first match they had when Goldberg came back. And then Goldberg brought his son into the ring, and poor kid had his shirt off. He's probably picked on at school and everything. I mean, my God, that'd be like my nightmare. If I got pulled into the ring like that as a child, shirtless in front of the world. But he was just this little kid. And now he's like a star football player. I don't know what school he plays at, but I think he might play for Dion. I think he might play for Dion. But anyway, so there they are in the front row. And Mrs. Goldberg is there as well. And Gunther wanted to clarify what he said a few weeks ago to Bret Hart when he told Bret that Bill Goldberg was his favorite pro wrestler of all time. He clarified that that was not true. And he asked, how could the greatest wrestler on earth be impressed with a one-trick pony like Goldberg? Which is a valid question. So the crowd chanted for Goldberg. Gunther said that he was just busting balls. Should have done it in the Sopranos voice. We're just breaking balls here. We're just breaking balls here. God, every time I say that, I just think of that scene out at the construction site when they're just ribbing each other. And then that guy takes that glass and just smashes it right in that guy's face. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Anyway. Sorry, I lapsed into my Sopranos moment here. Gunther said, though, that he did have some serious advice for Goldberg's son. He really hopes for him that Bill is a better father than he is a professional wrestler. So you could see Gage whisper into his father's ear to go beat his ass. And Goldberg stood up and he was really angry. And he hopped the barricade. And Gunther told him to come on. And security rushed over to Goldberg as he took his jacket off. Here comes Adam Pearce. He's trying to calm the situation down, calm tensions down as best as he possibly can. And the army of security geeks are holding Goldberg back. Gunther is taunting him in the ring, and his back is turned. And he doesn't see that who snuck into the ring behind him but Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn attacks him, knocks him out of the ring. He ended up leaving the ring. He went out after Gunther, and he had to be separated from him by security geeks and officials. This was all just an angle that was done to set up the World Heavyweight Championship match and put more heat on that and excitement on seeing Sami challenge for the title on Raw on Monday night, because they're main eventing the show with the two of them for the World Heavyweight title. And back in the ring, Triple H held Goldberg's arm up as he posed to his music, and he went to the corner and he posed. So there you go. There it is. Goldberg wanted his big retirement moment in WWE. It wasn't a match, but you know what? You got your moment. In Atlanta, your old stomping grounds, right? Former Atlanta Falcon, former WCW champion, right in your backyard. Your family in the front row. Triple H raising your arm in the middle of the ring. And you were spared. Because if you end up in the ring with Gunther, you're going to get the shit chopped out of you, my friend. So this was his moment. He should be very happy. He can ride off into the sunset now. This was a fine moment for Goldberg in front of his family. What I don't need to see is Gunther against Goldberg, which I have no doubt in my mind that had they not come up with this crown jewel concept, they would be doing this match in Saudi Arabia. But we know they're not, because Gunther is going to be preoccupied. He's going to be occupied with Cody Rhodes. And they're going to be going one, which is an interesting match. If you remember when Cody came back from the torn pec, we basically got a full match at the end of that Royal Rumble. They were in the ring together for like 10 or 15 minutes, I think, in the closing moments of that Royal Rumble match. So we've seen Cody and Gunther in the ring before. And most likely that will be our match at Crown Jewel. But yeah, the Goldberg thing, it's not something that I have any interest in seeing at all. Triple H gave him a nice moment, despite all of his comments that he is constantly making about the company, and he should be very happy with that. Now, as far as the Crown Jewel stuff that they announced here, it's basically for bragging rights. I mean, that's what it is. I grew to greatly dislike the brand warfare stuff they were doing at Survivor Series because we saw it a whole bunch of times. There's a novelty to it at first, for the first few years. And unless you have something really engaging or you have some way to really make it, more interesting than it normally would be, you just sort of run it back. And now what do you end up with? You end up with a bunch of matches between champions who you don't really want to beat. So you have the Intercontinental Champion against the United States Champion. There's nothing on the line. There's no title on the line. And really, you don't want to beat either one. And it's even worse with your world champions, because the worst thing that you could do, and they did it every single year, right? Now, we got some great matches out of it. Brock Lesnar and AJ Styles, Brock Lesnar and Bryan Danielson. Those were great matches. Those were some of Brock's best matches of his career, that second run that he had, was against Danielson and against AJ. You had Roman and Big E. Of course, Big E got beat. You're always going to have to beat the other champion. And I just don't see what's really gained from that. How does that help the champion who ends up losing? That's the big drawback when you do stuff like this. And that's what they're going to be doing again here. I just think that, one of the reasons I got sick of it was the timing of the draft was usually in October. And so you're going to have brand warfare at Survivor Series, Raw versus SmackDown, and everybody's walking around in their red shirts and their blue shirts, and it's like, we've got brand loyalty. Motherfucker, you were just drafted to the show 4 weeks ago. Don't give me loyalty. Loyalty my ass. It was stupid. But you end up with a bunch of meaningless matches. Thank God they got away from that concept and they put it on the back burner. And now we have War Games. And I'll tell you what, with War Games, and I'm glad we finally get War Games on the main roster, I feel the same way about War Games. I'm not so sure about this year. We'll see in the next few weeks what they have up their sleeve with it. But I'm a believer that if you don't have a compelling enough story, feud that really belongs in War Games, that should be contested in War Games, then you don't do War Games. You skip a year. Come back to it the following year. I'm not a fan of just doing certain types of matches just for the sake of doing them. The Royal Rumble. You know what? Of course, you do the Royal Rumble every year. Of course you do. Money in the Bank. Frankly, even that is a concept I think could go away for a while. But okay, you do Money in the Bank because there's something on the line every year, right? The winner gets a guaranteed contract. The Royal Rumble, the winner gets a guaranteed championship match at WrestleMania. The Elimination Chamber, typically, if it's not for a title, the winner gets a guaranteed title shot at WrestleMania. In War Games, you don't have that. In War Games, it's just War Games. And you either have the match that fits or you don't. So even something like that, I'm a big believer that you only do it when you absolutely have to. They don't do Raw versus SmackDown anymore at Survivor Series, so they came up with a draw for one of their Saudi shows. How much of a draw it really is going to be, that remains to be seen. I don't know. But you know what? If they want to gimmick up one of the Saudi shows, and this is what they've come up with, it doesn't bother me. Other than the fact that you're going to have to beat one of your champions, which is just not an ideal thing to do. But I'd rather they do it at Crown Jewel than do it at Survivor Series. So, hey, I'll pick my battles where I can. And I'm okay with that. So long as they keep it there and they keep it away from that pay-per-view. It's just how I feel. We had Rhea Ripley against Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. Dirty Dominik Mysterio locked away in a shark cage above the ring. Or so we thought, above the ring. Then I realized, wait a minute, there's a cell hanging from the above the ring. How are they going to hang a shark cage? The answer is they're not. They're going to hang it in the aisleway, and that's what they did. Dominik drove a lowrider onto the stage with Liv in the passenger seat. They exited the car. They headed to the ring. The shark cage, like I said, it was placed above the aisleway because it just physically could not be above the ring. It just wasn't going to work. So Dominik was very hesitant to enter the shark cage, as anybody would be, especially me. I just rewatched Jaws the other day. I certainly do not want to find myself inside of a shark cage. Jaws is one of those movies, by the way, it's just timeless. Never gets old. Always that feeling of dread. It's a great example of how music can really make such an impact on a movie. Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. NWO Matt with a learning tree. $12 super chat. Thank you, Matt.
I am the learning.
Shut the Mr. New. Boy, you guys are...
Fuck that tree.
Whew. You guys are taking out some anger on that tree.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
There he is. There's the final boss. I knew we were going to see him at some point. Bobby's World, thank you. We still got messages coming in. Where are we on the likes? I haven't even checked. Hopefully we're at least 500 at this point. So Dom is acting terrified because he's got to get in the cage. Rhea Ripley is telling them to raise him up because she says, oh, by the way, he's also afraid of... Not only is he claustrophobic, but he's afraid of heights. And so he's selling that he's all nervous, and they begin to raise the cage, probably about 12 feet or so up off the ground. 12 or 15 feet. So Ripley was in control of the match until Liv targeted her previously injured knee, and she slammed her leg against the ring post. Liv shoved Ripley into the barricade, hit her with a sunset flip powerbomb into the barricade, and the back of Rhea's head just smacked the barricade. Morgan followed with a code breaker off the ropes for a 2 count. Liv went for Oblivion, but Ripley countered by rolling through, and then Ripley tried for Riptide, but her leg gave out, and Liv hit a crucifix bomb for a near fall. Morgan did the Eddie Guerrero shuffle, the Eddie shimmy that he does. Tried 3 amigos. Ripley, though, blocked the 3rd suplex and hit a razor's edge. Meanwhile, Dominik, using his prison skills, picks the lock on the door of the shark cage, and he gets the door open. So the door swings open now, and he's still in the cage. He's got nowhere to go, but he's no longer locked inside the cage. So Ripley is on the top rope. She looks up and notices that the door is open, but she doesn't seem too worried about this because, again, Dominik has no place to go. So she did a yeet, and then she hit a frog splash off the top rope for a 2 count. So then the action spills outside the ring. Now they're in the aisleway. They're not directly below the cage, but they're like right in front of it. And Rhea gives Liv a riptide on the floor outside. So Dominik looked very concerned, and it looked like he was almost going to try to crawl out or jump out. All of a sudden, Dominik falls out of the shark cage. And there's a moment here for about a split second where I got a good scare. I will not lie to you. But they did a good job of rigging up this spot here, because what happens is he's tied by, I think it was a chain, I think, not a rope. It was either a rope or a chain, whatever it was, to his leg. So he falls out of the cage, but now he's hanging upside down by his leg. So, I mean, it was a cool looking spot, but again, for a moment there, you're thinking, oh my God, this is doom for this kid, right? A very clever spot, though, once you realize that he was safe. So now he's hanging upside down, helpless, and so Ripley goes and grabs a kendo stick and begins to just wail away at him and just kills him dead with the kendo stick. All of a sudden, Raquel Rodriguez hits the scene, and she attacks Rhea Ripley from behind, and the referee calls for the bell. for the disqualification. Rodriguez plants Ripley with the Tejana bomb, and she places Liv Morgan on top of Ripley for a cover. I'm not sure why, because the bells already rang and the match is over. So I don't know why she did. I'm watching this. I'm like, oops. She trying to give her the visual pin? I don't know, but the match was already over. And then Raquel didn't really celebrate, but she picked up Liv when the match was over, made it very clear that she was there to watch Liv Morgan's back. She was there as a friend to Liv Morgan. For a match with this much build, and for what was, for a period of time this summer, truly the hottest feud on Monday Night Raw. You could say Punk and McIntyre, but, you know, Punk wasn't there every week, so there were lulls in that story. Rhea and Liv was hot as hell as a story on Raw for a while there. And their videos on social media were racking up millions and millions of views. And so it was really the hot thing on the show. And so when you consider that, it's definitely cooled off from that. People still react, you know, to the segments, like especially with Rhea when she's on Raw. It's not that people don't care anymore, but it's not what it was a few months ago. Because it's gone on now for a very long time. And it's gone through a few different, you know, you've had a few different twists and turns in the story. The Judgment Day basically imploded. We have this new version now, this kind of Wish version of the Judgment Day. It's not the same thing. It's definitely cooled off. But the match should have been a bigger deal than it was. And it fell flat. And the finish fell very flat too. The match itself was okay. The problem with the match was it had no heat. It was definitely not the match they had at SummerSlam. So the match had virtually no heat. Raquel got no reaction when she showed up. And I don't blame Raquel. Because here's the thing. She has been gone for a long time. We have not seen Raquel Rodriguez on TV since February. Okay, the last time we saw her was right around Elimination Chamber. She might have been on TV for a week or so after that, and then she vanished. And we have not seen her since then. I don't think that most people even recognize who she was. I would not at all be shocked, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, if at least half the crowd in the building didn't even know who she was. Or didn't recognize when she showed up. They didn't recognize who she was. Not that she looked any different. She looked exactly the same. It's not like she has a fucking face tattoo like Mike Tyson or something, or she's wearing a mask. But I really don't think that most people even knew who this woman was. So they didn't really react. And then the other people who did know who she was just didn't give a shit. So it got no reaction. Now, I picked Liv to retain in my predictions earlier in the week. I picked Liv to retain, and this is why. Because this is exactly what I thought they might do. They might have Raquel, because there was talk that Raquel might be on her way back soon. And that was weeks ago. And I thought, well, if she is going to come back soon, what are they going to do with her? Where could they plug her in? Well, just look at the history that she has with the people involved. She has history with both of these women. She was at one time friends with Rhea Ripley in NXT, and then they became enemies. On the main roster, she was tag team partners with Liv Morgan. They were the women's tag team champions. And they had history with Rhea Ripley when Rhea was still a heel. So in my mind, if you're going to bring back Raquel, you want to give her the greatest opportunity that you can to find success and be involved in some kind of meaningful story on the show. Well, this is it. This is the biggest women's feud, women's program story that they have going on in the entire company right now. It is still Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. So I can think of worse spots for Raquel to be in than standing in Liv's corner and being her muscle in fighting back against Rhea Ripley. It just seems to make a lot of sense. You have Dominik neutralized in the shark cage. They want you to think that Liv is doomed. She's got no way to win this match. And then you find out she's one step ahead. She made a few phone calls and she brought in an old friend of hers. So I think as an idea, it makes sense. And now Rhea should have to run through Raquel first before getting, another rematch against Liv, and then she can win the women's championship back. Because I would not drag this out for longer than another month or two at the most. And then you got to put the belt back on Rhea. Get the belt back on Rhea just in time for Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season. Because I felt like if you did the title change tonight, what is Rhea going to do between now and the Rumble? The Rumble is not until the first day of February. So what are you going to do with this woman between now and then? Instead, why not milk this for another month or two, then do the title change? That gets you to WrestleMania season, and then you figure out who you want to handpick to challenge Rhea at WrestleMania for the championship. So all of that is fine. It just made for a very flat finish, the way it came across here. I know that some people are going to look at this and they're going to think, oh, this is just a ripoff. This is just a ripoff of Camille being put with Mercedes in AEW. Well, I got news for you. Camille being put with Mercedes in AEW was also a ripoff. They're all ripoffs. They're all ripoffs of Shawn and Diesel, okay? They're all going for the same thing. You want the bigger guy or the bigger woman to be the muscle of the two, be the bodyguard, be the insurance policy, be the hired help, watch their back, put some more heat on the heel, right? They can hide behind their bodyguard. It's not like we haven't seen this recycled multiple times over, and you could come up with a bunch of other examples of this over the last 25 years. But they're all borrowing from the Shawn Diesel idea from 93. Okay, so I don't want to hear it. If it's a good idea and it works, whether somebody else is doing it or not, you do it. That's why I said Rhea and Raquel and Liv, right? Liv's a tiny woman. Raquel's not giant or anything, but Raquel is bigger than Liv. So it works. It works. I got news for you. It's good to see Raquel back at all. For people wondering where she's been, she has that mast cell activation syndrome, it's called. MCAST or CATS or whatever it is. And she's had a rough go of it, for the past year. It's been at least a year, maybe a little bit longer than that. But just imagine, like, your body, if you're wondering what it is, your body having symptoms of allergies or like an allergy attack, like off and on all the time. You don't know what's triggering it. There's no known specific trigger. And you're not exposed to anything that would cause you to have allergy symptoms, but you have them anyway. Like, I have seasonal allergies, and there's certain things that I'm allergic to. Unfortunately, pet dander. That's why I don't have a pet anymore. I tolerated it for 18 years, and that was it. I can't do it anymore. But, you know what you're allergic to and what you're not allergic to. But just people that have this, there's no trigger. And so imagine you have hives and you have a rash and you have swelling, all kinds of nasty, horrible, uncomfortable symptoms that can strike at any moment, and you have no idea why. That's what she's going through. And there's no cure for it. You're not cured. You can manage it, but there's no cure for it. So when she came back at Elimination Chamber in February, they do the best job they can as far as like the makeup job that they do, but you could tell she was having an outbreak. She was having an attack. And obviously she got through it. I think what happened is on the flight over to Australia, she suddenly started having symptoms. So she went through with the match and then she disappeared again. Who's to say she's not going to disappear again? It could hit at any moment. But the fact that she's back now and she was there tonight, hopefully is a sign that she's managing it, because that just sounds like a horrible way to go through life. I mean, I fucking hate my allergies, and to think that I would have those symptoms just as a matter of just normal everyday activities for no reason at all is just a horrible thought. That's just terrible. And we're going to get to the main event here in a moment. I'm going to run through some more of these super chats, though. I want to say thank you before I get into this big main event here. Thank you guys, all 1,800 plus and counting, hanging out with me here on a Saturday night. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Thank you again for all the birthday wishes. I do appreciate it very much. But the main event was Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns tagging for the first time ever to take on Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Eminem, no, Raquel is not dating Braun. They were an item, but that's like a couple of years ago. So they are not, in fact, dating. Not anymore. Not that I'm up on all of the current dating trends in WWE, but I know they are not together anymore. Oh my goodness, Mantar. David Theory has awoken Mantar for $75. Oh my God, I have not heard the Mantar bellow in a very long time. Actually, it might have been, God, who was it who dropped the 75 last night?
Solo. You are my tribal chief.
It was before I went live, though, so we didn't get to hear it. Hey, Donnie Yasu, thank you for the 15. Thank you, sir.
I love you, Solo. You are my tribal chief.
This is all very appropriate because we are heading into Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa taking on Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Solo and Jacob entered first. Then we had the University of Arkansas marching band surrounding the ring, and they played Cody to the ring over his regular theme. Then we had the Georgia Philharmonic Orchestra playing Roman Reigns to the ring. So both babyfaces got special entrances here for the main event. Michael Cole mentioned that Ole Anderson turning on Dusty Rhodes during a match against the Assassins took place, I believe it was right here in Atlanta. And he wondered if Dusty's son would suffer the same fate at the hands of Roman Reigns. I should note, if you pay attention to this, that Roman Reigns entered last and the champion entered first. For anybody wondering who the real star is, the real top guy, you don't need anybody to tell you. It's just little things like that that really illustrate where people stand in the pecking order in this company. So Cody started against Fatu, and he quickly hit some big offense. Fatu just no-sold it. Solo entered the match without a tag. So Roman sees this, and he slowly climbs into the ring, and so we got a stalemate with all four men. Solo tagged in, Reigns tagged in. So we had Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa, and Solo had the edge for a little bit. Fatu got into the ring as soon as Roman got even just the slightest bit of offense in. And Fatu had not tagged in, but that momentary distraction allowed Solo to attack from behind. Solo hit Roman with a running hip attack. Fatu tagged in, hit a much more impactful hip attack. Everything that Jacob Fatu does is more impactful. Everything he does is more intense than what Solo Sikoa does. Fatu missed the Stinger Splash, though, and went face first into the top part of the ring post casing. They have the casing around the actual ring posts. And he smacked his face right on top of it. Reigns made a hot tag to Cody, who hit Fatu with a bionic elbow and a Cody cutter. A Solo Sikoa distraction allowed Fatu to hit a pop-up Samoan drop. And so at that point, the match slowed to a crawl. And the Bloodline got heat on Cody, and they worked him over for a while. Cody fought them off. He tried for a hot tag, and Jacob Fatu yanked Roman Reigns off the apron. And I swear the way they shot this, and not a doubt in my mind they did this on purpose. The way they shot this, at first it looked to me like Roman dropped off the apron. And I thought we were getting like a Horseman beat down here. Because then I started putting two and two together. I said, holy shit. I said, we got the that's why Arn and Tully were there. You got the Horseman in the front row. They're going to pull a fucking Horseman here. And they did not do that. But just for a fleeting moment, it looked like Roman jumped off the apron on his own power. But then you see that it was actually Solo, or Jacob rather, who yanked him off. But the way they shot that, there's no way they shot it that way and didn't realize what they were doing. There's just no way. So Fatu went for a swanton bomb. Cody got his knees up. Finally made the hot tag to Roman, who ran wild on Solo. Sikoa blocked a Superman punch and went for the Samoan spike. Reigns, though, countered into a crucifix pin for 2. Roman followed with a Superman punch. And then Roman was setting up for a spear. Fatu, though, super kicked him, and Fatu and Solo then delivered double super kicks to Roman. Fatu hit Roman with his double jump moonsault. Immediately, Solo Sikoa then followed with a Samoan splash off the top. They had Roman seemingly beat. Cody, though, gets it and breaks up the pin attempt. Cody clears off the announce desk outside, and he sidesteps Jacob Fatu, who goes crashing through the timekeeper's barricade. Fatu gets up very quickly, though, and he starts chucking chairs at Cody like a fucking raving lunatic. Cody hits him with a crossroads on the floor, and this fucking guy, he still will not stay down. He gets back up to his feet. So Cody delivers one super kick. Not enough. Second super kick. Now Jacob Fatu, that knocks him back onto the announce desk, and he's laid out on top of the desk. And Cody he looks up, and he decides to climb to the top rope. So up goes Cody. He's standing on top. He looks down at Roman Reigns in the ring, and he salutes him like he's the Marine, as if to tell him, all right, I'm about to take myself out of this match, so it's all going to fall on you. And Cody Rhodes goes flying through the air, and he crashes down through the announce desk and puts Jacob Fatu through the desk, which is the same thing that Jacob Fatu, if you remember, did to Cody his very first night on SmackDown when he debuted. He put Cody through the announce desk in the exact same way. So in the ring, Roman and Solo, they slugged it out. They did the yay boo spot. Superman punch takes down Solo. Now he sets up for a spear. Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, though, they hit the ring coming off their ladder match on SmackDown last night where they retained their tag team titles. Now they have officially hit the scene, and Tonga Loa causes the distraction. Solo ends up spearing Roman. He covers him, but Roman kicks out at 2. Now in the ring, Solo Sikoa is yelling at Roman Reigns, talking all kinds of trash to him, and he's threatening to hit the Samoan spike. At ringside, though, in the background, we can see a man, because you see Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and they are outside the ring, but there's also a man standing there whose identity is hidden. And he's got a hoodie on, and he's got like a bandana covering his face, like covering his mouth and his nose. So you can't really see who it is. But then he takes out Tama Tonga with a super kick, and he takes out Tonga Loa with a super kick. And then he lowers the hood, and he removes the bandana, and he reveals Jimmy Uso. We have not seen Jimmy Uso since after WrestleMania. April or May, whenever it was that he got taken out by Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. Like, it was so long ago that I don't even think Tonga Loa was a thing yet. So it was probably like mid-April on SmackDown. Even Tonga Loa, I don't think, had debuted. We have not seen Jimmy in a very long time. So the crowd popped huge seeing him because it has been so long. And Solo can't believe it. And he ends up getting speared by Roman Reigns and pinned. Roman and Cody. They're like the modern day mega powers here to all these little kids in the crowd. The mega powers win the match. Jimmy gets back in the ring after the match. Roman can't believe it. And the two of them embrace to a big pop. Roman looks over at Cody, who's now back in the ring. He's sitting in the corner. Roman looks over at Cody. Jimmy looks over at Cody. Cody gets up to his feet. And he walks towards the center of the ring. He and Roman, they're locked eye to eye. And Roman ends up leaving with Jimmy. And Cody is left in the ring all by himself. But only for a short period of time, because you could see as Roman and Jimmy are leaving, Cody gets jumped in the background. Not the only time Cody would be jumped tonight. We'll get to that in a second. But Cody gets jumped by the Bloodline in the ring, and now he's getting beaten down. And in the aisleway, Jimmy is telling Roman, come on, we got to go. We got to go, make the save. And Roman's like, that was a one-time offer. Because Jimmy's like, you told him you would watch his back, right? You would watch Cody's back. And Roman's like, no, that was a one-time offer. And Jimmy says, look, it's your call. I'll do whatever you do. I'll do whatever you want to do. And so Roman decides, all right, let's go back and save him. So Roman and Jimmy, they run back to the ring. Jimmy super kicked Tonga Loa. He super kicked Solo Sikoa. Reigns then drops Solo with a Superman punch. And at that point, the Bloodline bailed into the crowd. Reigns picks up the WWE Championship. And he's staring at the title. And then he finally hands it back to Cody. And Cody raises the WWE title above his head when all of a sudden we hear a very familiar piece of music for the final boss. And Atlanta comes unglued because The Rock is at Bad Blood. Now, there were rumors going into this show. You saw the Pat McAfee clip when Cody was on Pat's show, probably, right, the other day. And Pat made a comment, I think it was after the show was over. And he went over to Cody. He was shaking his hand and said, hey, I hear the big guy's coming back. And Cody said, what big guy? And McAfee was like, all right, like, okay, you're going to play dumb? I see what's going on here. But a lot of people figured, okay, if he's referring to the big guy, he ain't referring. All these fucking people who were asking me about Ryback, and I couldn't understand, why are people asking me about Ryback? And then I realized it's because Pat McAfee said the big guy. Because Ryback used to call himself the big guy. So people thought Ryback was coming back to WWE. Are you fucking kidding me? Did you get oxygen deprivation for a few minutes there? Where your brain is malfunctioning? Why would they bring Ryback back to WWE? I'm sure CM Punk would love that. Of all the things that WWE could use right now with business booming, boy, let's bring back Ryback. Yeah, the big guy is back. Just what they need. The fuck is wrong with you people? Of course he was referring to The Rock if he was referring to anybody at all. The big guy. God. So here he comes. The Rock enters, standing on stage. He's got his vest on. He's got his People's Championship belt draped over his shoulder. Cody, Roman, Jimmy, they're all in the ring watching from afar. Rock raises his eyebrow. Then he raises his finger in the air. 1, 2, 3, and then he does the throat slash. And then he heads to the back. And that is how Bad Blood went off the air. Quite the cliffhanger. Quite the cliffhanger ending for this show. And now you're left with more questions than answers. For example, what did the throat slash mean? Was the throat slash a sign to Roman and Jimmy? You know, because you're helping Cody. You're making the save for Cody Rhodes. Like, we're done here. Is that what it meant? Or what I think, was it intended for Cody? And it was more a sign of, for Cody, like 1, 2, 3, meaning I pinned you at WrestleMania and I'm going to pin you again. And I told you I'm coming for that WWE Championship because the last time we saw The Rock was on Raw. And he asked Cody, can I hold the title? Remember that weird segment? Like, and Cody's like, I'll let you hold mine if you let me hold yours. I'm like, hey, whatever you do in private is your business. It was just a very weird segment. But that was likely a message that was directed more to Cody than anybody else. But we don't know. But he did tell Cody, look, you and me, our story is just beginning. So it's going to have everybody talking heading into TV this week, which is the whole point of doing it at the end of the show like they did. This is why CM Punk and Drew McIntyre opened Bad Blood, and they did not close the show with Hell in a Cell. And it was really the only thing that could justify them not going with Hell in a Cell to close out the show. Because that was easily the best thing on the entire show. They deserved to close the show. Just given the gravity of their feud. But obviously, if The Rock is going to come back and make a surprise appearance, you don't do that in the opening of the show. That would be fucking stupid. So, thankfully, they at least had good reason to do what they did. The match itself, I thought, was really good. It was not nearly as good as the opener, but it was easily, by far, the second best thing on the entire show. And it was really carried by the star power in the match. You know, Cody and Roman tagging for the first time. That was the draw. Solo Sikoa is not the draw. Jacob Fatu is great, but he's still too new to be the draw. The draw was Roman in his first match back since WrestleMania. The draw was Roman teaming with Cody for the very first time, the two biggest baby faces in the entire company. That's what it is right now. It's Roman, Cody, and then number 3 would be CM Punk. That's how they're ranked. So this match was really carried by the star power of those two, especially on those hot tags. You know, when Roman got that hot tag, that's really where the crowd came alive, like really alive for the first time. Is when Roman got that hot tag into the match. It was cool to see Fatu in there with Roman. They did not give too much away. They had very little interaction, really, when you think about it. I've said before, I'll say it again, this is a WrestleMania match. And that doesn't mean Las Vegas. It may not be a WrestleMania match in 2025, but mark my words, it will be a WrestleMania match at some point, without question. So seeing them in there, even just a little bit of interaction between them for the first time in an actual match was very cool. But I want to point something else out here that I really, you know, even before tonight, I feel like it was an issue, but especially after tonight, it should be an issue. And it isn't being talked about. Solo Sikoa. If you think back to when Solo Sikoa took over the bloodline, and he started going around calling himself the tribal chief, right? He was upset because Roman Reigns lost at WrestleMania. He lost the championship. Everything was built around that title. And he lost. And it was Solo who, and he may not have been the first person to say this, but he definitely reiterated it. I think Paul Heyman said it once, and then Solo also said that, losing has consequences. Well, keep that in mind when I point out to you the fact that Solo Sikoa lost at SummerSlam. He lost the rematch in the cage to Cody Rhodes. And he just lost again tonight for his team. So if we are led to believe that actions have consequences, winning and losing has consequences, winning and losing matters, where do the consequences come into play here for Solo Sikoa? Because for all the losing that this man has done, I mean, he has brought great shame to his bloodline. You would think that he would be excommunicated from the bloodline. Maybe his enforcer will turn on him, right? At what point does that become part of the story? And maybe it happens on TV this week where Solo gets confronted by his own bloodline like, winning and losing has consequences. And Solo ends up getting a taste of his own medicine. Maybe he has to go crawling back to the OG bloodline and say, you know what? You're right. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. He's coming back with his hat in hand, looking for forgiveness, begging for forgiveness. Maybe we do get some version of the OG bloodline against the new bloodline. Maybe Hikuleo does come to the main roster instead of NXT. Like, there's any number of ways that this can go. But I'm just thinking back to what Solo himself said. And you would think that after this, yet another big loss for this guy, at what point in the story does this not become an issue here? Like, it should be an issue this Friday. Because if not, I just think that's completely ridiculous. What does this mean for War Games? You know, Jimmy is back, finally. Maybe we are going to get some kind of bloodline match in the War Games. Again, Jimmy is back, but Jey Uso is the Intercontinental Champion right now on Monday Night Raw and still has had nothing to say about any of this bloodline stuff. He has not been a part of it. He has not been name dropped. He has not said anything about it. He is off doing his own thing. I just don't know how they're going to go about roping him back in. He'll be involved in this at some point, but like, is now the time? Doesn't feel like now is the time. It feels like right now he's doing his own thing and he's doing okay. So I don't know how he factors into this, if at all. You've got Roman and Jimmy on one side. Solo, Fatu, and the Tongans are on the other. Where does The Rock fall in all this? You know, whose side is he on? Doesn't mean that Rock is going to wrestle at Survivor Series, but we are heading into Survivor Series and War Games, and you know, what side is he going to end up on? Is he still going to be with Roman? He hasn't really split from Roman. Is he still going to be on their side? Or is he going to take the side of Solo, you know, and his crew? Or do we find out that he's the one who's been pulling the strings all along, trying to usurp Roman, even though, you know, in the bloodline, Rock ranks higher than Roman does because he's a high chief. But we don't know. We don't know which side of the aisle Rock is going to fall on. So there's a lot of questions that have yet to be answered. That's what TV is for. That's why you got to tune into the TV shows to find out. And I'm glad The Rock is back because it's time. It's time to get him back. It's time to move things along in this bloodline story. I don't expect Rock to be a weekly presence on TV, but I would hope he's on SmackDown this week and we get some answers to some of these questions. Would they actually book Rock and Cody for a show other than WrestleMania? I just can't imagine that if Rock is going to wrestle Cody, they would do it anywhere but WrestleMania. Would they do it at the Rumble? You know, the only way they do it on a show other than WrestleMania is if they want to do Rock and Roman in Las Vegas. If Rock and Roman is the destination for next year, then Rock and Cody would have to happen before then. So are we talking Royal Rumble? Are we talking Survivor Series? Are we talking Saturday night's main event? Like, what are we talking about here? I don't know. A lot of it really does boil down to Rock and Roman. Are they doing the match for 41 or 42? That will dictate answers to all of these other questions. I love the fact that we have a lot of new questions now to sort through because, you know, it makes these discussions and these things a lot more interesting. But I don't know where he's going to fall on that. Now, if you missed the beginning of the stream, I will point out that as if this wasn't enough, they shot another huge angle when the show was over, off air. They have their post-show press conferences, and so while Triple H was at the press conference, probably talking about his new gate record, Cody Rhodes was attacked. He was confronted and then attacked in the parking lot right outside his bus by Kevin Owens, who wasn't on the show tonight, but obviously he was there. And he beat the shit out of Cody. And you can find the videos up right now on social media. This is not like reports are saying. Like, the video is up right now on social media. They shot the angle, and it's a social media video. After weeks of teasing a possible heel turn for Kevin Owens, they shot the angle off the air, which is quite the choice. It's quite the choice to also do it tonight because it's just going to be completely overshadowed by The Rock coming back. That's the other thing that confuses me. Like, to shoot an angle like that, which could have existed on its own, is a big deal. And you've just thrown it out there now. Now it gets people excited and they're going to want to tune into SmackDown, but they were already going to tune into SmackDown to find out what's going on with The Rock. So I don't think I would have gone about doing it this way because now all the attention's on this other thing that happened. But that's very interesting that they opted to do it tonight. And what caused it? What did Cody do that would have made Kevin Owens finally snap that he didn't already do or say in weeks past? Cody went in there tonight and he won with Roman. Why would Kevin Owens all of a sudden snap on him? How's Randy Orton going to feel about this? Right? More questions that need to be answered. Now I really have a reason to be excited for SmackDown. I haven't been excited for SmackDown in a fucking long ass time. So now at least they've got me excited to see what's going to happen on Friday night. So a lot going on tonight. We've recapped it all. We don't have answers to all these questions, but we will find out soon enough. KO has his own agenda. What it is, we'll have to wait and see. Let's take a look at the
everyone, it's Samoa BRO.
Twitter poll. Samoa BRO is introducing. He's sponsoring our Twitter poll for tonight. What did you think of Bad Blood? We have almost 2,000 votes in already. And hey, Snack King, welcome to the channel. 75% almost have given this show a thumbs up, 20% thumbs in the middle, and 5% thumbs down.
I'm the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. It's a pretty good score. Fuck that tree. The salute is KO and Cody's secret handshake.
Look, everyone, it's Samoa BRO.
Thank you, John. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Time to open the floodgates and super chats. Yeah, I just unpaused them, so they're gonna be coming in hot and heavy, and we got a lot of them to get through, so I don't want to waste any time here, or else we'll be here all night, which I'm sure you guys would love. I got a podcast to prepare for tomorrow. I got another show to do tomorrow. The shows never end. There's so many of them. There's so many shows. I want to thank you guys, though, for hanging out with me here on a Saturday night. We had a steady flow of nearly 2,000 people in here for a good chunk of the evening. On a night where the Mets put the Phillies in the dirt. You'll love to see it. I was a little worried there. They've been giving me some heart attacks here. Waiting until very late in the game to crack things open, but I don't know, man. This team has something special going on, that's for sure. All right, let's go back to the early messages. Again, we have some early bombs that came in that won't appear on the list, but I got them all here, so I'm going to make sure I don't miss anybody. We're going to go through all of them as I scroll back and back and back and back and back and back.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. Hey, Josh Carlos, what's going on? Fuck that tree. With the $4.99, that crown jewel title is just as important as the greatest Royal Rumble belt that Braun held. Yeah, that's why I brought it up. So important that we haven't heard about it or seen it ever since.
Off is the direction you can fuck.
So Ty says that apparently WrestleVotes is saying a triple threat at 41 with Rock, Roman, and Cody.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. Fuck that tree. Gamer Emporium says, wow, I'm finally in a live chat. Why'd it take you so long? It's about damn time. Welcome. It's good to have you. Is that what WrestleVotes is saying? WrestleVotes is saying a triple. Let me see. Let's see what WrestleVotes is saying. WrestleVotes is saying 1, 2, 3, 41. Well, if that's what you're referring to, that doesn't necessarily mean triple threat. That just means that whatever Rock was referring to, he was referring to WrestleMania. It could very well be Cody, right? He pinned Cody at WrestleMania in the tag match this year. So it could be Rock and Cody at 41. Colin, so it sounds like the annual Crown Jewel Championship is basically WWE's version of a Super Bowl title. What are your thoughts? Well, we talked about that. I'd rather they do something like brand warfare type stuff on a show like that than a PLE like Survivor Series. So if that's their way of trying to give Crown Jewel its own draw, then okay. I'm not really enamored with beating one of your world champions. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. Donnie Yasu, Raquel looks great, but she seems anxious. Well, she hasn't been on TV in a long time. Sean D, sorry, the ref saw Raquel always get them confused. Sidro.
Look at Richie Rich over here
Oh,
dropping all
Boots.
this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock.
When did this one
A-Rock,
come in? I feel like this
you
was a
rock.
while ago.
And I just wanted you to know that.
Hey, Sidro.
I
Oh, boy.
am the Lord.
Boots, thank you, man, for that bomb.
Fuck that tree.
And Timothy Tillis. Thank you. Yes, it is official. Thank you. It is officially midnight. Everybody's doing the proper birthday salute now. It is officially midnight, yes. I am officially 20 years old. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that it is officially midnight now. Sidro, why did the man bring his watch to the bank? He wanted to save time. A man dining at a seafood place asked for a lobster tail. Waitress smiled and said, "Once upon a time, there was this lobster." Oh my God. Base Beerus, both Usos are at their peak right now.
I love you, Solo. You are my tribal chief.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Jimmy got probably the biggest pop of his career tonight, and Jay's the Intercontinental Champion and moving more merch than oh my God. Oh boy. Oh boy, David Thiering with a 200
We're having a party here on the street. We're very hard.
and $50 super chat bomb. Wow. That's the big bomb of the night right there. 250, baby. David, holy shit. Wow. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. I'm trying to play catch up here, but David, man, thank you very much. Sean D says he's here. Base Beerus says, and now we know why Hell in a Cell wasn't last. Rocky, he says. Holiday 197, hey Solo, it's interesting that Punk did not main event due to The Rock's return, when The Rock was the partial reason why Punk did not main event WrestleMania 29. Well, also the reason he didn't main event 28 either. Even though he was the WWE champion. Ragnarok. Rock counts to 5 and goes off the air. That did not need to close the show. Punk and Drew washed the stink of 2 Hell in a Cell DQ finishes away from me. Yeah. Quite the contrast, huh? Between this Hell in a Cell and the one on my birthday from 5 years ago. We've come a long way, haven't we? Venom Kitetsu, happy birthday Solo. Congrats to starting life as a lucky sperm and becoming a successful pro wrestling YouTuber. Keep on winning. Wow, the timing on that. The timing on that, given what just popped up on screen. I swear you couldn't time that any better. Lucky sperm indeed. George Seckman. Happy birthday, Solo. Fairly predictable show, but overall a good to decent one, saved by the opening and closing matches. Opening and closing were definitely the best parts of the show. Thank you, George. The Real CS. Yesterday I watched JD's podcast. He said about a 3-way with Rock, Roman, and Cody for WrestleMania. After tonight, I think that might be what we are getting. Could be.
Fuck that tree.
It's been rumored for a while that it could be potentially, you know, a multi-man match, a 3-way or something. I mean, I'm not usually a huge fan of that. You know, Rock and Roman, though, is still big enough to do one-on-one. I almost feel like if you do a triple threat first, does it water it down? In your mind, in your eyes, does it water down a potential singles match with Rock and Roman if you put them in a triple threat first? I feel like it does. Holiday 197, do you see Kevin Owens costing Cody Rhodes his match at Crown Jewel against Gunther? Or maybe even Randy could screw him over. Do you think Gunther against Cody could be a good match? No, I think it could be a great match. I think it could be a lot better than good. David Thiering with the $150 bomb from earlier. Last night I started off with a Cody bomb. Today on day 2. Let's hear our favorite catchy tune. Let's keep this party rolling. Much love to you, Solomonster. Says, and one thing, which apparently I can't do the first part of what I wanted to do, which was the $75 bomb. My plans get fucked with. Thanks, YouTube. That was YouTube playing games with you again. Hey, David, man. Thank you very much. David is the man. You know who else is the man or the woman? Fire Panda. Fire Panda as well. I think we're caught up here on screen. There we go. Fire Panda with a $100 bomb. Wants everybody to sing along. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Solo. Happy birthday to you. Happy 97th birthday. We are nearing 300 gifted memberships from the past 2 days alone. Fucking insane. I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. That is a record. I don't know what the number is exactly, but I think we're trying to run up the score here. But whatever it is, it's got to be a record. And Fire Panda has a lot to do with that. So if you are a new channel member and you have no idea why, Fire Panda is one of the people that you can thank for that. Hey, Daddy Ugarte. Good to hear from you. Pisco95 KO turning heel off screen. I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, it's very, very weird. It's just more weird to do it at the same time that you shot this other big angle. That's just what's weird to me. David with the 12. Again, thank you. I read that one before. Pisco, overall a decent show. The start and ending were pretty good, as well as Gunther's segment, but the middle was pretty weak. Finn should have won. Yeah, Finn just looks like a geek coming out of this show. Adam, thank you. Yeah, Finn does not look good coming out of this show. Kate. Thank you, Kate, for the 15. Kate Love. Salvador from Creator Wrestler Champion Game App. I'm not sure what that means. But Salvador Nunez with the $10 super chat. Boots with the $100 bomb. Buy or sell. Liv proposes to Dom. The wedding is scheduled for the debut of Raw on Netflix. All the heels are part of the ceremony. They have an elderly woman doing the officiating before they are pronounced as husband and wife. The old lady kicks Dirty Dom in the crotch. She then starts pulling at her old face, revealing Rhea in disguise, and then we have a, as Vince McMahon would say, a melee. It's not melee. Vince would always call it a melee. And by the way, he broke those super chats up in a pair of $100 bombs, so he dropped 200 for that message. And I don't really know what to say here other than thank you. I am going to be honest with you. Like the last 2 days, like SmackDown and this now tonight, I am overwhelmed in a good way. But that really means a lot. Base Beerus, I agree with Pisco. Finn should have won. NJC with a $9.99. First super chat solo. Happy birthday. Thanks for the years of content as I've been watching and listening for many years. P.S. Can we please get an LA Knight super chat soundbite? Cheers. I'll see what I can do. We might be able to swing that. Thank you, though, for the birthday wishes. First super chat here on the channel. Very cool. Boots. Again, wow. Kicking all kinds of ass with that boot. The Juliet. Happy birthday, Solomonster. Punk and McIntyre was the best match on the show. Hopefully, Gunther puts Goldberg down for good. No, actually, I would rather we not even go down that road. I just don't think it's necessary. Like, that's totally a Saudi match, and we know it's not happening at Crown Jewel, so... I mean, what are you going to do? You're gonna run it back in May? That's probably the next one, right? Do we really need this? We don't need this. We don't. And we certainly don't need it at WrestleMania. So I hope they're not thinking about Mania to do that match. I got all kinds of names floating in my head of who Gunther could wrestle at WrestleMania. I mean, they could drag this Sami Zayn thing out to WrestleMania. They could do Gunther and John Cena, possibly. They could do Gunther and Braun Breaker. They were teasing that on Raw Monday night. Like, there's any number of people I would love to see him in the ring tangling with. None of them are named Bill Goldberg. Like, who's asking for this? Base Beer says, boots to asses. Timothy Tillis, greetings to everyone. Feels good to be back after that scary hurricane and with power. Though internet still needs work. Still great to be back. Well, Timothy, I'm glad you're back online, and most importantly, I am glad that you are safe. That was a very scary storm, and there were a lot of people who, unfortunately, were not so lucky. But I'm glad you were one of the ones who was. Justin says, almost T-boned by a truck. Running a red light. Glad I got back. Holy shit. That's scary. Well, I'm glad you're safe. Man, what is going on? What is going on out there, man? The world is a scary place. Alex with the 1999. Brother Solo, what a great show. Open with an all-time classic and finish with a banger of a tag match. It's always an incredible feeling when both WWE and Solomonster's business are thriving. I agree. That's great news for everybody. I concur. Base Beerus, did someone say 3 minutes? I don't know. Did they? I don't know. What's the context there? You leave me hanging and you don't explain the context. Pisco. I don't like the Crown Jewel thing at all. The title adds nothing, and it'll make Crown Jewel feel like a filler PLE interfering with ongoing storylines, especially now with the KO heel turn. Yeah, I mean, that's another reason to not like the idea. They've done a better job in recent years of making the Saudi shows important, and they do run, you know, with current storylines. They are important. And it is a gimmick. There's no doubt about it. They're gimmicking the show up. Doesn't mean that it won't have an impact on ongoing storylines. They could still find a way to make sure it does. There are going to be other matches on the show that could have storyline implications. But I agree. I think that's a valid criticism. I don't disagree. Pisco says, anyway, I'm done ranting. Happy birthday, Solo. Holiday says, do you see them dragging the Rhea and Liz, means Liv, feud to WrestleMania 41 where Rhea finally goes over? I know WrestleMania is 6 months away, but they could do an attack injury angle for Rhea to take her out until January or February. They could, and I think they're going to have to. Because if they don't do that, then no. 6 months is asking a lot. They almost have to do that, because otherwise I just think that's a ridiculous amount of time to tack on to something that already feels like it's getting to that point where, okay, we need to wrap this up soon. Didn't have to happen tonight. 6 months, though, is asking a lot, unless you do take Rhea off TV for a few months. Jimmy White tried the PLE on Netflix, Brazil, with a VPN. It worked, but the quality was less than stellar at times. I hope it was due to it just being a stress test. Well, the better question is, did you use ExpressVPN? I hope so. I got a code for you. Corey Blake. Happy birthday, Solo. The Hell in a Cell between Drew and Punk was awesome. Great way to blow off a feud. What's next for Punk and Drew? By the way, our beloved Mets keep winning. Screw the Phillies. Yes, a big win. They were down 1-0 until like the 7th or 8th. And then they blew the doors off. I think the final score was 6-2, I think. I'm telling you, man, there's just something special about this team. I was going back and forth between the game and the Hell in a Cell match. I was like, man, I got to focus on this, but I gotta see what's going on here. As far as Punk and Drew, I talked about that earlier. As far as what I think could be next for both of them. Jimmy, you see, that was your mistake, man. You gotta check the description down below. If you ever want to try a different VPN, I got a code for you. You'll get 3 free months. We still got that offer going. I use it. I don't have any issues. I don't use it for this, but I use it for other things. I've never had an issue with ExpressVPN. Jake Jones says, Brother Solo was just at the show, and it was a blast. The crowd seemed pretty hot, and of course, we went wild for The Rock. Happy birthday, brother. Oh, so Jake was there. He was at State Farm Arena for the show. And he saw a fantastic Hell in a Cell match. Because that was the best thing on the entire show. Match-wise. Booba. Sorry if this has been asked before, but who is the guy with the goatee and green smiley face t-shirt who sits middle front row on all of these big shows? I think he's called Smiley Guy. He's got like a Twitter account, and I think an Instagram. I don't know his real name. But he is visible on social media. Just look up Smiley Guy or WWE Smiley Guy. You'll probably find his profile. I don't know what his deal is. I think he's just a fan who... I don't know what he does. He goes to all of these shows. I don't know how he has time to actually have a job. I just don't... I don't get it. I don't understand. More power to him, though, but I just don't understand it. Mr. J, thank you for the 1992. Justin says, should have been super historic. Open the lockbox. I think Shane is going to open the lockbox his first night on Dynamite. That's going to be the big draw. He's going to open Vince's lockbox. Mr. Rod, now that's how you do a Hell in a Cell match. Punk and McIntyre put on a clinic, and I loved it. Hands down, the match of the night. Natasha, with that 50 spot from earlier. Natasha Rigby. Happy early birthday, Solo. I wanted to show you some love since I have been missing the live streams. Hope you enjoy your day, and overall, on a separate topic, glad the Mets won. Let's hope it continues. Yes, let's hope indeed. That would be a great birthday gift for myself. The Mets can advance to the next round. Hey, Natasha, thank you very much. I always enjoy hearing from you, and I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love very much. I hope you are doing well. Chester Red Wolf, I give the Hell in a Cell match 7 out of 10. He was missing a cinder block, a syringe, and a gimmicked chair. Quote-unquote gimmicked chair. You forgot the staple gun, too, by the way. I'm just saying. Instant regret. Happy birthday. Been following you for a long time since TV Tracks. You're the best to do it, in my opinion, and that's the only one that matters. See you at Logan Square in January. Yes, I should be there. I don't think that I'm going to enjoy the weather. It's not going to be as nice as it was last month when we were there, but I should be back in Chicago in January, so I look forward to it. Yuri, the way Triple H spoke about Goldberg was very interesting, and the presser said a lot. What are your thoughts? If you didn't hear it, basically, Never say never, but a lot was said. Also, go Mets. Always nice beating Phil. Is that what he said? A lot has been said? I said, you know, Goldberg has shot his mouth off a lot about Triple H and about the company. And it's as if he still feels like he's owed something because Vince McMahon promised him a retirement match. Well, guess what? Vince is not there anymore. It's not his company anymore. So get over it. Whatever promises he made to you are fucking empty promises anyway. I mean, Goldberg had a sweet run when he came back. He really did. He got to come back. He got to perform in front of his son, which he always wanted to do. He won the championship. I mean, what more could you ask for? And still, he goes off. I mean, you would think that they buried him 6 feet under. I mean, he put a few people over, but he should have put a few people over. He won some matches. He lost some matches. That's how it works. He was not going to go in there and beat Roman Reigns. And if you bring him back and you put him in the ring with a Gunther, or you put him in the ring with a Braun Breaker, guess what? He shouldn't win that either. Like, I would be very curious if he wants to have a retirement match in WWE, if he thinks that he's going to win, or if he would be okay with losing. And if not, I would love to know the rationale for that. I really would. I would certainly hope he'd be willing to come in and put somebody over. I think somebody like Braun Breaker would actually make sense. More sense than like Gunther would. I mean, Braun is in many ways the heir apparent with that spear. I've said before, I mean, I haven't seen anybody hit that move with as much intensity as Goldberg used to do it. Until Braun Breaker came. I mean, obviously Rhino had the gore, but Rhino was around the same time that Goldberg was getting over. But I'm talking like in the last 20 years, 25 years, I haven't seen anybody with that level of intensity on that move, and everybody does the fucking spear now, than Braun Breaker. So if anybody would be appropriate to put this guy down once and for all, I actually think it would be Braun. I would like to think that Goldberg would not have an issue putting the kid over. You know, especially because he's friendly with the Steiner brothers, and it's Rick's son. He's also a football guy. Goldberg loves football, right? He loves his football. I would think that he'd be willing to come in and put over Braun Breaker, but, you know, beyond that, I have no interest in Goldberg coming back to have like another final run or, you know, a retirement program, because who cares? Really? Yuri says, also found it interesting Triple H mentioned Goldberg having an issue with Gunther. Did I miss something? Obviously, Gunther just had that hilarious line to Brett. Well, again, I'm just going off what you're saying here. That just sounds to me like that's part of a story. I don't think he has any issue with Gunther. Base Beerus says, happy 28th birthday. Oh, thank you. Yes. Actually, 22. Braun says, Kevin Owens attacked Cody. What are your thoughts? Talked about that extensively before. Thank you, Braun. Base Beerus, new camera. Quality resolution seems better. No, I just set it up a little bit differently. I changed a few filters. I play around with it from time to time. So, but thank you for noticing. Thank you for noticing. You'll let me know if you think I should keep it this way or put it back the way it was last night. NWO Matt, I'm back. Happy birthday, Solo. Great pay-per-view and my New York Yankees win. Sad the heel won in Hell in a Cell. It's sad they did McIntyre dirty. He did nothing wrong. Punk is the bad guy. I like how he said the heel won. Mr. Noob, great to see actual punches in the opener. It was actually jarring to me. I'm so tired of the silly forearms to the crook of the neck that we usually get. Bobby's World. Rock ruined my super chat. Was all set to say that Jimmy Uso was not a big enough surprise to bump Punk and McIntyre out of the main event. Not sure Rock is either. but it is what it is. No, The Rock is. I mean, come on. Let's be honest now, okay? It's The Rock. So, yes. The Rock coming back to make a surprise return is always going to be the main event of the show. Punk and McIntyre deserve to headline the show, but if that was what they were going to do, then you couldn't end the show any other way. Yuri says, be the Booker nightmare match. Older, silly punches. I always compared it to my sister playing Wii boxing. Oh, okay. Shane McMahon against David Flair. Shane McMahon punches are just unmatched for their horribleness. So I will always go with Shane on that. Bobby's World, that being said, biggest pop Jimmy Uso's ever gotten. Yeah. Biggest pop of his life. Biza. Hugger Bayley, COVID Bayley, or Curran Bayley? Hugger Bayley. WWE Wrestling and Gaming, if it's Cody against Rock at WrestleMania, IG, Cena. I don't know what IG means, but he says Cena faces Orton if Rock faces Cody. I don't see how Cody and Rock and whatever they're doing is going to have an effect on what Cena is doing one way or the other. I don't think it affects it at all. I think Cena against Orton. If I had to list what I think the three most likely opponents are for John Cena at WrestleMania next year, it's one of these three. It's Gunther for the World Heavyweight title if they go right into a world title program, which I would not do. It's Randy Orton, or it is Logan Paul. I believe it ends up being one of those three. And if I had to rank them in the order that I think are the likeliest, then I would say, I might actually say Logan Paul might be the likeliest. And then Orton number 2, Gunther number 3. Orton and Cena has to happen. It's just, I said this last night, it's just a matter of, does it have to happen at WrestleMania, or do you want Randy Orton to be his final opponent? So what's more important? Do you think that Randy Orton should be his final match, or do you think they need to have that WrestleMania match they never had? That's really what it boils down to. And what is Orton doing at the time when WrestleMania rolls around? Is he a heel by then? Is he the World Heavyweight Champion or, WWE Champion? Is he? Doesn't appear that way. Now that we know The Rock is back, by the way, I didn't mention this before, but now that The Rock is back, and clearly he's going to be involved in whatever Cody Rhodes is doing, I fear that you might have to kiss that Randy Orton heel turn goodbye. Like, boy, does that throw a monkey wrench into things, So there's a lot of questions now that still have to be answered about where things are going to go from here, and if Rock is now back for the long haul between now and Mania, how the hell does that affect Randy Orton and a possible story with him and Cody? Because I'm looking at that, and if it were me, when Orton goes heel, if Orton goes heel, I would have put the championship on him, and I would have had Cody chase him to get it back. And now you can't do that. Right? I mean, if Rock is back and Rock is doing something with Cody, you got to keep that belt on Cody. I think it really fucks over the Orton thing. So I'm going to be very curious to see where they go with that. David Thiering with the 75. Time to play a game of Will the System Let Me Do What I Want to Do? Remember the dono that Bobby's World dropped yesterday, but we were unable to find it? Well, here we go. Well, you got it. You got it. We heard Mantar with his primal scream before, so it worked. Salvador and David. David is always looking out for the other donators and the other members as well, which I think is very cool. Salvador says, from Creator Wrestler Champion Game App. That's the second time you've said that now, and I still am no clearer on what that means or what that's from. I wish I knew, but I have no idea. Donnie Yasu, thank you for the birthday wishes. He sent a pair of $15 super chats here. Yuri. Does Hog work at all with the other local promotions like Create a Pro and others in Jersey, etc.? My boss works with Create a Pro, has a podcast, interviews, and always found how indies work interesting. Hog has worked with other promotions before. I don't know about locally. More so as we venture out into other places where it makes sense, we might partner up with some of like a local promotion. We did that in Vegas in August. We worked with a local promotion out in Las Vegas and did a show there. Locally, not usually. It doesn't mean that we're against it. But I don't, not to my knowledge, I don't think we've done anything with Create a Pro specifically before. I don't believe so. There's a lot of great indie promotions all over the tri-state area. You know, some are bigger than others, some are better than others. But I always tell people, always support independent wrestling. Support local independent wrestling. The names that you go out there and see in some of these places, especially in Hog, I guarantee you, not all of them, but some of them are the same names you're going to see on TV one day, either in AEW or NXT or on the main roster in WWE. So it's cool to be able to go out and see them when they're first kind of on the ground floor, you know, trying to get in and progressing and getting better and finding their footing and finding their character. It's very cool. It's a cool thing to see the process play out. Elijah Davis. Greatest show tonight. Opening match was what JR would call a slobber knocker. Also, congrats to you and the Mets. Sucks that it had to come at the expense of Philly, but such is life. Definitely a bad John for us tonight. Happy birthday. I thought for sure you were going to take it, but this team just keeps finding a way. It's fun to watch. I always keep thinking that it's just going to come to an end one of these nights. I've just been conditioned to be disappointed. It would be nice if they could go all the way and do this all the way to the World Series. But I don't want to jinx anything. JR says, back from Bad Blood. It was a fun PLE. Nia did not look very good. Tiffany needs the belt sooner than later. The rock pop was deafening. The intros for Codes and Roman confused people at first. Happy birthday, Solo. I'm glad you had fun at the show. John Quinn. Thank you, sir. Very nice of you to say. Detective Tyler. Kevin Owens laid Cody out next to his bus after the show. It's all over social media. Not the first time, by the way, that Cody has been laid out next to his bus. Ryan Awesome. Happy early birthday, Solo. I appreciate all you do. Earlier today, I realized that Peacock got rid of all the older episodes of NXT. What the fuck? Yes. NXT is gone from Peacock. I believe... I don't know if all the content is now being migrated to the CW app or if it's going to be on Netflix. I'm not sure. I think it's going to end up somewhere else. They also had their deal with Hulu that expired at the end of September. You sure you're talking about Peacock? Are you talking about Peacock or Hulu? I do believe the NXT content is moving elsewhere. I don't remember offhand exactly which platform it's moving to. Nick Grosso. With Raquel back, I think this sets up women's war games with Team Liv. Liv, Raquel, and Pure Trash Collective against Team Rhea. Rhea, Lyra, and Damage Control. And then leads to the blow-off at Saturday night's main event. What else would women's war games be if not some variation of what you just said. I mean, what? Right? Like on SmackDown, what would it be if you were using SmackDown talent? It almost has to be that. Sanders, what if the plan with Tiffany is to throw us off the scent and she cashes in on Rhea or Liv instead? I don't see it. I don't see it happening. Or if she tries to, I don't think she'll be successful, but I don't see that happening. Ross Lum, and happy birthday to the GOAT. Have a great day, Dixie. Ah, you're a funny guy. You're a funny son of a bitch. You know that? Yes, shout out to the late Bruno Sammartino and Dixie Carter, who I share a birthday with. What a crew, by the way, to share a birthday with. You got Bruno, you got Dixie, you got Solo. Happy birthday, Dixie Carter. Sanders, do you have any memories with Dragon Ball Z? None whatsoever. Chris Auditor, if I can't get Gunther against Lesnar at WrestleMania 41, I'll gladly take Gunther against Goldberg. Don't give them any ideas. NWO Matt, bring back the old learning tree. I may have to. You never know. The old one may pop up. You know, you trigger it one day and all of a sudden the old learning tree is back. That thing regenerates. It's like cutting off a fucking head of a snake, man. It'll just grow right back. Devin from NJ. 5 years ago today, Solo came on to talk about a very different Hell in a Cell match. Oh, how times have changed. Happy birthday to the monster. Yeah, still one of my more famous rants from Hell in a Cell in 2019. Joseph Brooks says it's on the CW app. So if you're looking for NXT content, check the CW app. I have a feeling it may be on there. Dragon Ball Z, isn't that way? Luis is always talking about the Dragon of Ra or something like that. Whatever the fuck it is. Is that Yu-Gi-Oh or is that Dragon Ball Z? I don't know. Melik Gaming, happy early birthday, Solomonster. Now that Damian Priest beat Finn, where does he go from here? Don't know. It's a great question. I have no idea. I have no idea where he goes from here. Probably still going to be feuding with the Judgment Day. That's where. I don't think this feud is over yet. Bobby's World, this super chat is for Fire Panda, who may or may not have blown her money supporting our tribal chief. 3 cheers for Panda. She deserves it. Yes, she does. Yes, she does. James, 1992. We need more likes. Well over 500 in here. 1,000 likes for a special Be the Booker. Well, where are we now, actually? We're not at 1,000, but we're right around 760. We can hit 800. I think 800 is doable. Let's see if you guys can get to 800. Maybe we'll throw in some stipulations tonight. Nick says Kevin Owens attacked Cody after the show. Heel turn happened. Yes, I did see that. Leo Franco, been listening since 2012. Thought to myself, why am I not a Sound Off legend yet? Here's to you, Solo. Always amazing work. Well, you're always a legend to me, Leo. So I salute you, my friend. Thank you. You're a legend in my book. Avwunu is with us tonight. Judgment Day looks so bad tonight. Like, how do you reform Dom or Bálor to make them a serious threat? Much less JD McDonough. I genuinely no longer care about this feud. KO stuff is gold. I can't wait for SmackDown. Yeah, I'm looking forward to SmackDown too. They got me excited for Friday's episode. Warhawk Rambo, Solomonster, you are awesome. Happy birthday, dude. You have brought me many good memories over the years and look forward to many more. LLAP, dude. LLAP to you too. Thank you, Warhawk. Chris Blake, happy birthday. Been listening to you since 2013. Keep up the good work. Over a decade. That's awesome. James, buy, rent, sell. Hell in a Cell. CM Punk against Drew. Mick Foley against Triple H. Undertaker against Triple H. I hate having to rank matches that I literally just saw like 2 hours ago. Like, it's just, you gotta let them settle for a little bit. But I mean, if I have to rank them now, of the ones you mentioned, Undertaker and Triple H, it didn't have the blood that the match had tonight. That was special. It's different because I was there for that one, so I had the live experience of being in the building when you had the greatest near fall of all time. When Shawn Michaels super kicked the Undertaker, and then right into the pedigree. And everybody in the building thought it was over, the streak was over, and then he kicked out. That was the end of an era, Hell in a Cell match. I'd probably put that one number one. And then Punk and Drew, and then Foley and Triple H. I didn't hate it, but I was never really a huge fan of that Hell in a Cell that Triple H and Foley had. I mean, again, not a bad match. I just didn't look at it with the same reverence that I did their street fight at the Royal Rumble the month before, which I love. And it's one of my favorite matches. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that would have been a very appropriate final match for The Undertaker. Boots with the $100 bomb. What if Gunther shows up at one of Gage Goldberg's games, similar to when Kurt Angle showed up at one of Sting's son's games in TNA? Wait, what? What? Kurt showed up at one of Sting's son's games in TNA? How did I miss that? And no, keep Gunther away from Goldberg. It's like you people are trying to will this match into existence. What are you trying to do to me here? What are you trying to do to poor Gunther? Boots, thank you. Timothy Tillis, have you ever loved a match as a kid but watched it back as an adult and hated it? I'm sure I have. I can't think of any off the top of my head. A lot of the matches I loved as a kid, the big ones, I still love them now. But I'm sure I have. Maybe TV matches. Joseph Brooks, buy, rent, sell on the more surprisingly good matches that came from Vince. Oh, there he is. There's a green shirt guy. There he is. This guy's everywhere. I wonder if he washes those clothes. What do you think? Or does he have like 25 sets of the same shirt and the same hat, and he just rotates them? Okay, so buy, sell, rent on these surprisingly good Vince matches. 17, 19, 22. Didn't I just get this question last night? I just got this question last night, Joseph. Were you the same one who sent it? As a match, 22. And then 19 and 17. 17 had the better story, though. Wee Almighty. I live in Atlanta and had a delivery for WWE today. Dude was from Connecticut. Gave me a link on my phone. 4 free tickets. Great seats, too. Crazy. That's pretty cool. So were you at the show? Was it 4 free tickets to Bad Blood, or was it 4 free tickets to a later show? You didn't tell me if you were at the show. You just said you live in Atlanta. Vishu. Getting up early at 3:30 in the morning here in India on Sunday for Bad Blood. Apart from opening match and last 10 minutes of the main event, everything was below average. The end was easily... should have been the end of Rhea versus Liv. I see. Should have been better. Yeah, it just felt very flat. Again, I don't hate the pairing of Liv and Raquel. It just was a very flat. I thought it was a very flat match overall, honestly, not just the finish. AWOL. I went from wrestling a match today to doing last-minute extra work for WWE in the VIP box, meeting legends and stars. Surreal. That's very cool. They had a lot of legends that they flew in for the show. Again, they had Mickey James and Jackie and DDP and the Steiners, or at least Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner was there. Who else did they have? Arn and Tully, Waltman. I think they had a couple of other people there too. That's very cool. Last minute extra work. Okay, so you were in the VIP box. I was going to say, you weren't one of the security geeks, were you? Who came out to stop Goldberg from getting into the ring with Gunther? You weren't down there. You were up in the box. Bobby's World. One last super chat before I bounce. Got to work in 7 hours, but got to wish happy birthday to the first podcaster I ever listened to and the very best. I love you, Solo. Well, Bobby, you always remember your first. And damn it, I'm happy to have you as a fan. So get your ass to work, and thank you very much for the support. You never forget your first. Remember that. For better or worse. David Thiering with the $250 bomb that we danced to earlier tonight. This one is for Fire Panda. I think I have broken the fourth wall as far as super chats this week. David has just single-handedly destroyed kayfabe. That's what you've done. You've broken kayfabe. Back in the day, they'd break your kneecaps for that. They don't do that anymore, though. JR says Ryback against Goldberg retirement match, both of them. Okay, they could play each other in WWE 2K over a live stream. I don't need to see it on TV. Ricky Cornflakes. I'm in tears, Solomonster. I was hoping we got the big guy feed me more rye goat. Well, you'll just have to pick up the pieces of your life and move on. And I'm sure that there is some support group out there for people like you. I'm sure that all 4 people in that group will welcome you with open arms. Brandon Vasquez, what's your favorite Bloodline moment so far? Sammy hitting Roman with the chair at Royal Rumble is still the best for me. I'm looking forward to the pop when Jay reunites with Jimmy and Roman. My favorite moment is Sami Zayn cracking everybody up in the ring when he mentioned that Jey Uso was not feeling very Usy. And Jey, poor Jey, was fighting for his life in the middle of the ring. He had nowhere to go. He turned around trying to cover his mouth, and there's more people. You know, like he just couldn't hide it. And Roman was cracking. You can see Jimmy in the background leaning against the ropes. Even Heyman had a big smile on his face. Solo was the only one who just wasn't reacting. That, to me, that's still tops. That's still number one. That was great television. Leo Franco, maybe Solo is going to come out and agree losing he means consequences. And out comes The Rock, and Solo hands him the Ula Fala. Happy birthday, Solo. Maybe. That'd be a little underwhelming. I'd rather they all sort of gang up on him and kick his ass, but yeah, it's possible. Sean D, I'm going to tell you now at 11:56, happy birthday. 11:56, boy, it's 12:48. We still got some catching up to do here. Let's get through these here. We got JU and some chains. Sean Ross Sapp alluded on X that the finish to Rhea and Liv was changed at the last minute. Explains the confusing finish. Change from what is what I would like to know. Change from Rhea winning the title, or just a different type of finish but the same basic outcome? That's what I would be curious to know. Justin G, a lucky sperm now that it is your birthday, Solo. Justin, I have not been a lucky sperm in quite a long time, but thank you. Timothy, happy 21st birthday. I'm going to take you to get your first taste of alcohol. Yes, I'm very excited about this. I have not had a sip of alcohol yet. I hear great things about it. And I can't wait to go out and have my first beer. So this is going to be fun. Joseph Brooks, buy, rent, sell on the bigger dream matches. That turned out to be a disappointment. AJ and Nakamura at WrestleMania. Rollins against Reigns against Ambrose at Battleground in 2016. Lesnar against Lashley. All of their matches. Lesnar and Lashley. That was a match that I had wanted to see for a very long time. And I don't think any of the matches that they had lived up to the billing. AJ and Nakamura at WrestleMania 34 was disappointing. And the Battleground match, I'll put that last. I'll sell on that. Chris Ludek with the 12. Solo is, I love it. Solo is timeless. Daddy Ugarte says Solo is timeless. Oh, I love it. I should make my screen black and white. You may be onto something. Chris Ludek, happy birthday. Thanks for getting my new channel more subscribers. I'm up to episode 17 and I feel my production is improving. Anyway, what are you doing for your 21st birthday? Well, I just said I'm going to go have my first beer. I'm going to have my first beer and I'm going to get a lap dance at the strip club. That's what we're going to do. And Chris, I'm very happy that people have found your channel. So hopefully that growth will continue. I'm glad I could help. Plus Ultra Adrian, happy birthday, 20th birthday, Solo. We acknowledge you. Sidro, on what grounds did the police arrest the devil? They got him on possession. Also, what kind of murderer has moral fiber? A serial killer.
You suck.
It's always that last guy. It's just like, you suck. It's like extra, gotta be extra mean. Oh man, Sidro. SMG Kobe, is it fair to call Bálor a jobber yet? Just call him Pin Bálor. That's going to be his new name, Pin Bálor. Anderson Blitz, I watched this PLE at Legends Bar and the floor almost collapsed with all the exciting moments that caused the crowd to cheer loudly. Best B-Show pay-per-view of 2024. I'm glad the floor didn't collapse underneath you. That would have been really bad. Were there that many exciting moments on this show that would have caused a building collapse? Just The Rock coming out, right? Well, what else would there have been? Isaac, better feud, McIntyre Punk or Swerve and Hangman? I love them both. I love them both. I mean, the social media stuff with Punk and McIntyre is really what put it over the top. So, for me... Oh boy. I mean, the better matches overall were Swerve and Hangman. Better feud overall. That's tough. That's tough. It's tough. It's tough. I'm inclined to go. Yeah, I know the Sandman and Big Dick gif. Yes, I know. It just kind of comes out of nowhere, doesn't it? Like, no pun intended, but it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I'll go Swerve and Hangman. Arabian Night, with only a 5-match card, Bálor and Priest should have gone longer than 10-ish minutes. Triple H should have given the matches more time instead of video packages filler, in my opinion. That's the formula that they've settled on. You know, they have a lot of fancy entrances, and they have some in-ring segments like they had with Triple H tonight, and they have long video packages. And look what happened, you know, even still, the show didn't end until, what time was it when the show ended, right? It was after 9. They still went almost 3.5 hours. Slim Yoshi, happy birthday. Since Hell in a Cell has now been restored, I have a question. During the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view era, how many of those matches did not need Hell in a Cell at all? Which ones did you not mind? I mean, you're asking me to go back and remember all of them. I remember some of the bad ones. There was a Roman and Braun Strowman one. Was that the one that had Mick Foley as the referee and ended in like a fucking no contest or something? Yeah, that was pretty terrible. I think there was a Roman and Bray Wyatt one that was pretty good. Seth and the Fiend. I mean, we already know that. Rollins and Ambrose, I believe, had one that I remember being pretty good. Punk and Ryback. What was that, 2012? John Cena had that big giant ball in his elbow. He wasn't medically cleared, so Ryback took his place and then got beat. I think that was his first loss. There were many of them that were not necessary. To answer your question, far too many of them than there should have been were unnecessary. And I'm glad they ditched that fucking terrible pay-per-view. Never should have been a pay-per-view to begin with. George Seckman, since both women's world title holders are heels, do you think one will lose before Crown Jewel? So it is not heel versus heel. Yeah, Liv against Nia is not a very appealing match. That's a good question. If it were me, that's not the match I would do. I don't know what they're going to do, but that's definitely not a match that I would do. OM Too Cool, happy birthday to me, October 5th, and happy birthday to you, October 6th. Well, your birthday is over now, but I will wish you a very happy belated birthday. Bones Jones, thank you. He says also, go Dodgers. I will not say that. Timothy Tillis, let's call the Judgment Day the Jobber Day from now on because they constantly lose and can never be taken seriously. Jobber Day? Yeah, just go with street trash. That's what they wanted to call themselves anyway. That's basically what they are. The name fits now. RDS Harry. Thank you, Harry, for the wishes. Brandon Vasquez, have Goldberg cash in his Goldberg in the bank at Elimination Chamber against Gunther. He's overdue. Oh my God. Goldberg in the bank. It's bad enough we're going to have Charlotte in the bank soon. Now you want to add Goldberg in the bank? Grant Hudson. We love you, Solo. Taker Brock in 2015 is an underrated cell match. Was the last time we got double juice before Punk and Drew tonight. Happy to see Rock back, but Punk and Drew stole the show. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Jeremy Rose, Bad Blood was awesome in person. Hell in a Cell was great. Main event was entertaining. Ending of Liv and Rhea confused mostly because nobody knew Raquel. It's exactly what I said. I think at least half the building didn't even know who she was. So it was silence. It was crickets. It was groans. They've got to educate people all over again. I mean, they need to really explain why she would be with Liv and remind people of the history that all three of these women have. You know, David makes a very good point. Everybody in the chat is going to give me nightmares with all this Goldberg talk. Pisco 95, this stream is never going to end, is it? We're getting close here to the end, though, of the messages. But yes, we still have Be the Booker that we have to do. Did we hit 800, by the way, on the likes? Thomas. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you for the $2. Hello, VP. Do you ever have any wrestling-related dreams? I just had one where I was watching Raw, and one of the matches was a street fight between Sami Zayn and Big Daddy Shirley Crabtree. Big Daddy. Wow. Yeah, actually, I've had some wrestling dreams. Usually, I'm wrestling. I'm in the ring, and I'm doing a scary spot. I had a dream many years ago where I was in a match with King Kong Bundy. I have no idea why. I was in the ring with Bundy, and I was trying to get away from him because he was so just fucking big, and he was gonna squash me or whatever. I think I like made him mad, and I thought it was like a shoot, and he was gonna kill me. And he gave me an avalanche in the corner, and then I woke up. I have no idea why. And this was like within the last couple of years. Now, why I had a dream that King Kong Bundy was trying to kill me in the ring, I have no idea. I try to think like, okay, do these dreams have meaning? Is there some kind of secret message hidden in here? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I just think my brain was just fried that day. King Kong Bundy is still looking. Solo died in the dream. I always wonder, if you die in your dream, right? What happens if you die in your dream? Do you wake up? Or do you die? Raph spent the last week helping folks with disabilities caught in Helene get the resources they need. Happy birthday, Solo. Hope everybody is safe. Well, that is great work that you are doing, because there's a lot of people out there there's people out there still missing in some of these places. There's still some places that are cut off, and they haven't even been able to search and find people. And the thought of there still being people in those areas that are cut off, that have no food or water or means to communicate, and they're just trapped, is just terrifying. But there are some places like that. There's some remote areas that still, people just don't have access to it. And who knows when they'll be able to get there. And it just makes you think, how many people may still be out there that are still alive, and for how much longer. Drew McIntyre. Happy birthday to the GOAT. Enjoy a McChicken on me. Have they brought back the McRib? Justin G, back on the mat, Bálor. Now, Pin Bálor is much better. You got to go with Pin Bálor. Jeremy Rose, what's your interpretation of The Rock tonight? I talked about that earlier. Went through several different possibilities for what the throat slash and everything could mean, so you could check it out earlier on. Lakers Pats, when are you running for New York City mayor? I'm not. I have no interest. Besides, all they would need to do is just play back one of these streams when I'm talking about, Lucky Sperm and some of these super chats popping up with Mantar and me going, burn, making all kinds of weird noises, and that would be the end of my political career. The Rabbit Wolverine, Punk and Drew, was a great fucking match. 5 stars. It was a great match. I think they did Hell in a Cell proud, and finally Roberto. I mean, that's what I would call my father if, you wanted the Spanish version of his name, you just add an O, he becomes Roberto. Roberto Cortez, thank you for the $1.99. Appreciate it. And that, I believe, covers all of the super chats. My goodness. No, there's another one. Justin G. McDonald's bringing the Big Mac chicken to the U.S. soon. Big Mac chicken, huh? More horrible shit that they can feed people to poison their systems. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm going to have fast food, I'm going to be having me some Popeyes. That's what I'm going to be doing. If I'm in the mood for some fast food chicken, then I know where to get my chicken, and it's not McDonald's. We are currently sitting at 821 likes, which is incredible. Thank you, guys. You guys have been waiting a while for this. And so it is time to be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
Oh, it's been a while. We have finally made it to be the booker. Pisco has a super chat coming in. Or maybe it already popped up. Any plans of going to Vegas for WrestleMania 41? That is up in the air right now. I may well end up being in Vegas for House of Glory if we run a show there. I don't know what's going on. So, TBD. Nothing is booked.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up. Jeez. Fuck that tree. My goodness, you guys are violent with these trees tonight. Adam Casper. Maybe Yankees against Mets in the World Series. Could we have another Subway Series? Our first one since 2000. That would be something, wouldn't it? We'll call this one the Mets Revenge. Grimace. It took Grimace to finally bring down the Yankees. All right, so what we're going to do here, because you guys absolutely just obliterated it with the support tonight and the likes, we're going to pick a stipulation for each of these matches. We're going to do stipulations across the board for Be the Booker. And we're going to start with tag teams. So let's pick a stip. Yes, even for the tag team match, we're going to pick a stip. And we're going to begin. It's going to be, oh my goodness, how is this even going to work? Of all the stipulations, really, for the tag team match, we have to land on Brawl for All. Okay, well, this is going to be very interesting. This is going to be most interesting now because we are going to book ourselves a tag team Brawl for All match. This has disaster written all over it. This has injury and disaster written all over it. This is a Russo special right here is what this is. Oh my God. All right. Oh, this just gets better and better. The New Age Outlaws. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn are going to be in a Brawl for All match. Oh my God. Against who? The New Age Outlaws against the Legion of Doom in a Brawl for All. You know, my finger was this close from the buzzer, but now that we landed on LOD, I actually morbidly would love to see what this match looks like. The Road Warriors would fucking kill them in a Brawl for All match. Okay? Kill them. And I'm here for it. Especially you get some liquor or some pills in Hawk, man, forget about it. There's no telling what he's capable of. There's just no telling. How are we going to top that? A Brawl for All match with the New Age Outlaws and LOD. All right, let's pick a stipulation now for the women's match. This is going to be eye for an eye. Oh my God. Rey Mysterio and the Gumball from the Performance Center era. All right. Someone's losing an eye in this match. Someone is losing an eye in this match. And it's not because I'm overexcited. Here we go. Women's Be the Booker. We begin with Michin. Mia Yim, who just won her dumpster match against Chelsea Green on SmackDown last night. Who's losing an eye here? Is it going to be Michin? Or, oh my God, can you imagine if we land on Chelsea? Michin against Rowdy Ronda Rousey in an eye for an eye match. No, I don't think so. Mia would make it work. No, I don't think she would. All right, we got one more match and one more stipulation to pick. We've had Brawl for All. We've had Eye for an Eye. This main event is going to be, oh boy, barbed wire steel cage. Now we're talking. Now we are talking here. Barbed wire steel cage main event. Jon Moxley's spidey senses are tingling as we speak. Who is stepping into the barbed wire cage? The Godfather. He can't bring any of the hoes into the cage. He's got to come in by himself. The Godfather. In a barbed wire steel cage match against Brock Lesnar. Yeah, the Godfather is a big man. And Brock, I think Brock would kill him, but I feel like Godfather's a fighter. Remember Kama Mustafa? He'll put up a fight. I'm still going with Brock. You throw in some barbed wire, and it's going to be a bloody night. It's going to be a bloody affair. Hardcore hose. What's wrong with you? Listen to this guy. Hardcore hose. That sounds like an Attitude Era pay-per-view that they would have had. Right? Hardcore hose. I could totally see that. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. Almost want to do more, but we'll leave it alone. Kevin, oh my God, says, happy birthday, my man. Thank you, Kevin, for the $4.99. Appreciate that. We've got Warhawk Rambo. Is a Yappa Pie Indian strap match a stipulation? You know what? The strap match is a stipulation, not the Yappa Pie Indian strap match. Maybe it should be. Maybe it should be. I might have to add that. Hey, it's Luis. Luis Belmont Show is with us with a $10 super chat. Please do not mention the term Subway or Freeway World Series. Just look at the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. It did not turn out good for San Francisco. Not going to be pretty for Mets and Yankees. What the hell does that have to do with anything? The 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake? The hell does that have to do with a Subway series? Luis, you're a very unique person. You have the most interesting messages. And I don't always know what to make of them, but I do appreciate them. So it's kind of a weird dynamic here that I'm dealing with. Yeah, I mean, that's what there was a Subway, exactly. There was a Subway series in World Series. It wasn't in the 90s. It was 2000. And it did not end in an earthquake. So I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll be all right. I'm not too worried about it. Richie. What did I think of Shawn Michaels casting in Young Rock? What did they call him? What was his name on the show? Chad? Was it Chad something? I thought it was great because I thought Rock was basically just trying to say fuck you to Shawn Michaels. I mean, I know they get along now, but I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be the Booker. All right. 2 out of 3. That was a very interesting edition of Be Gonna have yourself a birthday cake, Solo? Of course. Of course. I bought the box. It's Duncan Hines. I make it myself. It's all I just make it for myself. I make it for myself. I sit by myself. I consume it by myself. I'm by myself. Now you've depressed me. But no, this has been an incredible night. Chaz, is it Chaz or Chad? Chad Frost, yes. Just the fact that he gave him the name Chad. I don't know. I feel like that's very pretentious. And now I'll hear from all the angry Chads out there, but that's okay. That's okay. Thank you all for hanging out with me here on a Saturday night. We talked the ins and outs of Bad Blood. We have gone over 3 hours. We have gone about as long as the frickin' pay-per-view has. Can you believe it? I can't. But I had fun. I hope you did. I'm going to be back with you later in the afternoon tomorrow, technically later today, for episode 882 of The Sound Off. We got Bad Blood Fallout to get into. I'm going to go check out the press conference, see if anything of note was talked about, and try to listen to these Triple H comments on Bill Goldberg. And we're going to talk about the AEW television deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. I'm going to have something of a Dynamite review since I didn't get to do one live this week. Talk a little bit about NXT, some other news and notes. Should be a good time. Hey, Richie says, if Gunther was to fight Goldberg in Canada, would Goldberg be the biggest heel? Yeah. I think he would be. Maybe they can get Brett to be the referee. I'm sure he would be a very fair, impartial official. Bret Hart to referee Bill Goldberg's final match. You know what? I'd pay good money to see that. Be well. Stay safe. Hit that like button on the way out. JR says, Giants and A's had a World Series earthquake in '89. Yes, indeed. But that was not a Subway Series. Subway Series, if it comes to that, I think we'll be okay. Fingers crossed. I think we'll be all right. See you guys for 882 and then live back here, the post-birthday stream on Monday night, talking Raw. Until then, take care, guys. Have a good night.